Hi everybody, this is A7X Fan Ben with both Xerix, God Mason, and Captain Vendari, and this is episode number 28 of the Pirate CSG podcast, and this is part 2 of the Fire and Steel set review. So we started part 1 in June of 2018, and we had so much to talk about, and with 4 people we couldn't finish the whole set. It's also a very large set, and so we're going to finish it tonight. And this was the 12th set released by WizKids, came out in April 2008. Has a lot of game pieces, as you probably already know, a lot of them mediocre, which we're going to get into in a minute. But I'll start things right off with the Lepanto, which is where we left off, number 061. This is a common Spanish 3-masted galley, 14 points, 3 cargo, L move. All 3 cannons are 3 Ls. It has the galley keyword, of course, along with the cannoneer ability built in. So once per turn, one of the ship's cannons can shoot again if it misses. So this one is kind of just an expensive, kind of mediocre support gunship option. I think she should have been 9 or 10 points, but 14 is far too much to pay for this option, I think.
I think you summed it up pretty well. 9 to 10 points, at most 10, no more.
Yeah.
Yep.
As an example, things getting more expensive as the game went on.
Thanks, WizKids.
Power D-Creep. Yeah, she actually made an appearance in a 100-point game for my birthday, like a few years ago, but haven't seen her since.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah, no surprise there.
The Spanish might launch this in the Century of Economy simply because there's no other options. As an example, things.
I think I actually saw this ship used once as part of a starter fleet that I gave somebody, but never since then.
D-Creep. That's probably a good use for a ship like this. It's very vanilla. It doesn't have a whole lot of complex interactions with it. It's just a quick, oh, I missed, re-roll it. Cool, go.
And
give
it's
it to a
kind
new
of pretty.
Player. It is pretty. I like her paint job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not quite as much as the next ship, because I think we've said all there is to say about Lepanto. Funny enough, my name is James, and I'm going to introduce the Saint James, which is number 62.
I didn't know you were a saint.
Far from it, actually. This is an English 3-masted galley. It's 10 points, 2 cargo, S plus S move. All 3 guns are 3S. And this has the ability, if this ship shoots at a ship that was previously shot at by another ship this turn, she gets +1 to her cannon rolls against that ship this turn. This reminds me a lot of an early Jade Rebellion ship, because they had this ability in spades. I'd say she'd be able to use it pretty well with them. Supposed to be a sport gun ship, but not actually that interesting, and I don't think that ability is so great, except maybe when you're playing a big game. Even then, this is not such an excellent ship. It's usable.
Yeah, I think what holds this one back is the cargo space. With only 2, you've got
definitely.
Captain and Helmsman.
Yeah.
And if this had, just 1 extra cargo space, maybe it'd be a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But as is, it's kind of dull.
Yeah, I
find kind of like the artwork for it as well.
Yeah, that
artwork kind of gray.
Yeah. I think this one could have been like 6 or 7 points to compare to some of the good, cheap 3-masted gunships. So,
yeah.
Really
I'd say 7. 6 is a little cheap there.
Yeah, maybe. I'm thinking about like the Princess and the Longshanks a little bit. Even the Princess is better, so.
Yeah.
Like
well, she is English, so you could throw Thomas Gunn on there and still have 5 points left over for another crew in that second cargo space. But that's also assuming you're not using HMS Apollo and you don't want the link.
Or any other ship that would rather, that's a better place to put Thomas Gunn.
Yeah, like the Joker has 10 points as well.
Like literally any other ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, any 5
the Nautilus.
Low cargo.
HMS Nautilus is 10 points too, so yeah.
Literally any other English ship that price or above, you can probably put them on and have a better time.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'd like to see a game with just these mediocre galleys. That would be hilarious.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you'd have to ban Barbary Coast because those guys would just overpower everybody. Even if they're cannons roll.
No, I'm just talking about these ones right here in Fire and Steel, just these mediocre ones.
All right.
That way they'll at least get some use, But
would you call the galleys from Disney Pirates, would you call those mediocre? Or do some of those have, niche uses?
Most of those are pretty good, I've found, though. I think they're underrated. Like the Otter and some of the other ones are pretty decent. Dragon is very good.
Most of them are kind of not quite as good versions of Barbary Coast ships, but they're still very good ships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually haven't played too much with the Caribbean set, so I really wouldn't know.
Cool. All right.
Who's on to Bonifacio?
Yep.
Sorry.
The French galley here, she's got 3 masts. She's, for 10 points, you're getting 2 cargo space, a base move of L, so a little slower than the St. James back there. She got 3 cannons with 3S, 3L, 3S again, so slightly better than the St. James here. And when she's docked at your home island, you can eliminate a treasure for a 3S cannon that can't be eliminated unless she sinks. So for the same price as the St. James here, you're getting a slightly slower ship in exchange for a better cannon. And I'd say the ability is probably about just as useful. So
Yeah.
Still not a good ship.
Yeah. Yeah, the ability is like similarly inept,
Yeah.
I guess. Not that great usually. I think I'd rather have St. James for the speed. I don't know. I don't like how galleys can move slower than S+S. I feel like between the sails and the ship type and like a lighter weight theoretically and the oars, I feel like almost no galleys should ever be faster than S+S. So when I see ones
You mean slower?
Yeah, it's just kind of it's kind of annoying.
If this one had slightly more cargo space, I'd say it's a candidate for a sort of weird alt strategy where you turn it into a small but well-armed gunship, but as is, not quite. It's just not there.
I think they could boost the speed to L+S. Big increase in speed and just leave everything else the same.
I think
that might even still be worth the point cost.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like just change the speed, it'll still be worth 10.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I'm not fond of seeing that ability on a ship. I'd rather see it on a crew. It's much more useful.
Yeah.
Much more flexible.
Yeah.
Agreed. Only the English got that, though, with, I think it was Carbon Charlie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I guess they needed something unique.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, moving on now to the Cyclone, the first 2-masted galley up on our list here. All right, she is cursed, and for 12 points, you get 4 cargo spaces, moving at S+S base move, with a 3S and 4L cannons. And our handy-dandy ability, in addition to galley, once per turn, if this ship is touching another ship, reveal all treasure aboard the other ship. This ship can take as much unique treasure from the other ship as she can carry, even those that otherwise can't be removed. Ability notwithstanding, this isn't a bad gold runner for the cursed, if only because they are so stricken for options. And the ability is actually even handy-ish, too, a little bit, since galleys can't ever be pinned. So this is just, come up, give a friendly bump. Do you have any unique treasure? Oh, good, give me.
Yeah. It's like playing Go Fish, though, because it's, do you have any power cannons? And then it's Go Fish, and the Go Fish means you go sleep with the fish.
Yeah, that's about an accurate summary of that ability right there. Shall we continue on?
Yeah, the Cyclone is decent. Outside of my mind control fleet, I haven't used her too much, but I do agree that the curse, she's a decent gold runner, so kind of underrated, but not too spectacular or anything like that.
Another example of an ability that's better served on a crew. Yeah,
true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so the next one is the Freedom's Hand, which is a pirate 2-masted galley. This one's also common and a much better ship. 8 points, 2 cargo, SL speed. Both cannons are 2S, and along with the galley keyword, you can double the range of the ship's cannons each turn, but you must roll a 6 to hit. So this one has a nice sniping ability, so you can be accurate at S range, or you can snipe at SS range, try to roll 6s. This is a nice pirate support gunship that I've used a handful of times. I had a bunch of duplicates, so I've seen new players use it as well. It's a solid ship. Another cargo space would make it really good and kind of on par with some of the great pirate 2-masted gunships like the Royal James, for example, from Crimson Coast. But that being said, this is still a good ship and kind of a rarity in terms of speed and how good it is for this set. It kind of stands out from the mediocre stuff we're seeing here.
Yeah, just a couple small changes, and it could be a really excellent ship. I think you and I both love this ability, even though, to be honest, S+S range isn't that much. Yeah. And, well, would you rather use 2S guns or 5 SS guns?
Yeah, 2.
Yeah. So I think the ability is probably kind of useless. But that aside, 8 points for 2 very good guns and a great move speed. This is probably one of the more underrated support gunships out there. But maybe she could be 7 points, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering there's only 2 cargo spaces, yeah, I could see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything more to say?
I don't think I
Not
have
really.
this
All right.
I've got one.
Mm-hmm.
one. Oh, cool.
She's definitely one I've considered using. I don't think I've ever actually used her though, just because her cargo space is a little deterring. But other than that, like, she's a solid ship. I agree with Ben's analysis there. So let's move on to the Soul.
Mm-hmm. The Sol, or it's SOL, and so are you if you're using this ship. Spain gets a 12-point 2-masted galley with 3 cargo, L move, 2 3S guns, and then when the ship is given an explore action, you can swap a treasure on the Wild Island for a crew on any friendly ship. This is known to be an overpowered ability, but statistically, this isn't all that exciting of a ship. It's far below what you'd expect for 12 points, especially on a 2-masted ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is kind of an oddity because Captain Jack Sparrow is so much better and is like the core of some of the best and most competitive fleets ever. I haven't really used the Soul, actually. I'm thinking that, especially with Hidden Cove and the amount of good Spanish stuff available in general, I think you could probably make a reasonably competitive fleet with the Soul if you abused, Hidden Cove and some other stuff, similar to UPS fleets. But that being said,
I gotta make a fleet about that now.
Yeah, I think that there's potential, but it just, you're just abusing a few really good abilities to do that. So outside of the ability, it's really boring and mediocre. So, yeah, not a huge fan of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It hasn't got much soul.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's trying to,
So
though,
is
with
this,
the artwork.
I got a random question about this one. Is this one of those ones where it's like the rarity is common, but it's ridiculously hard to find?
Not that I think so, but I don't know.
Not
I don't
that
think
I
I've
know
seen
of.
many. I will say that the Freedom's Hand, I used to have, I want to say, 7 or 8 copies, and the Soul, I think I've only ever had 1 or 2. So.
Well, distribution in Fire and Steel could be weird at times. I swear I've got I think I had 4 or 5 copies of a ship that's a couple down the list on Font Terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I had 6 copies of the Cyclops from way up there.
That's another one I had a bunch of.
Yeah. Reason asking, I had got years back a box of 36 packs, just split between my brothers and I, and we didn't get a single one of these.
Yeah, you should easily be able to find that on miniature trading. Somebody will trade one to you.
Hopefully.
Mm-hmm. I am sure they'd be glad to.
All right, cool.
All right. Templar, who's up?
That would be me. So those fans of Assassin's Creed are probably not going to like this particular ship. This one's the Templar. The sworn enemy of the Assassins. Anyway, she's an English 2-mast galley for 9 points. So that's kind of a nice change. We got into the single digits here. Again, she's got 2 cargo space, base move L, 2 3L cannons, galley, and then she's got the ability that whenever she's given a shoot action, every 6 will deal double damage and every 1 will eliminate a mass from the ship. We went into a bit of detail about this particular ability last time, that the risk isn't really worth the reward. So I don't think we should really talk too much about this one here.
Yeah.
It's more mediocrity and kind of boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Not used.
Yep. Yeah.
Unless, I had to.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, really boring.
All right, Xerix.
All right, so me up, and we have now the Enfant Terrible. All right, we have a
terrible
French
child.
Guy. Yep. All right, for 9 points, you get a not 3-masted. You get a 2-masted galley with 3 cargo space, base move of S+S, 2S and 3L cannons, and L range cannons cannot hit this ship. Not a bad ability. Decent speed, decent cargo, nice point cost. Numbers option gunship, or just a backup, kind of, I think.
Yeah, this one I've seen used rather effectively for the most part. Sometimes this is like an empty gold runner in like a newbie type fleet. I think this is a rare ship where a helmsman could be borderline optional. You could do a captain and then try to keep 2 cargo spaces open. But yeah, other than that, I guess just a basic support gunship. But I like to try to make her a hybrid, but she needs 4 cargo to really be great at that. So I would still say it's a pretty good ship, though, especially for the set.
I think this makes an ideal companion for Le Bonaparte, if you know what I mean, because if you're going to say fight Le Bonaparte, you're going to need L-range guns. So while you're busy trying to outmaneuver Le Bonaparte, this thing will be picking you apart. So in that situation, I think this is almost an ideal ship. Yeah, it could be better considering the cost, but I think that's probably the right situation to use it in. Probably the single most effective strategy you can run with that ship.
Very niche.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But niche is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
But at least it's got a use now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not so terrible now, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I think it's a solid ship, especially in this set.
Yeah, as compared to some of these other 2-masted galleys, not bad.
Yeah, like the next one, which is Velour, and this is another French 2-masted galley, and it's 9 points, 3 cargo, L move. Both cannons are 3S, along with a galley keyword. If this ship has a crew with the captain keyword, she gets +1 to her cannon rolls. So I guess in that case, you'd do captain and helmsman, but then you'd have LS speed and 2 2S cannons for 14 points, so not really a good deal. I'd always use the Infant over this one, so I'm not really a big fan here.
Yeah.
It's like an exceptionally bad version of Freedom's Hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
like slightly better than the Templar, but not a lot better. So.
That's not saying much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
if this...
also a friend.
Yeah. If this had, like, S+S speed, it'd be a wee bit better, but not by much.
Yeah. Nobody has anything to say.
She's begging for a captain. She's just not going to get it because we're moving on.
Yeah. Honestly, if I were to pull a bunch of Fire and Steel packs again, I would be praying for a Guardian Angel to stop me from getting any copies of Velour, which is convenient because the next ship is Angel Angel de Garda, Guardian Angel, whatever.
And
Spanish. Yep, Spanish 3-master. This one's 11 points. All 3 masts are 4S. It has 3 cargo, L move, and if she carries no crew, she gets +2 to cargo capacity. We see this ability elsewhere in this set, I believe.
Yeah, this is like the Colonial Trader, but, Spanish.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Colonial Trader is awful. So is this ship.
I'd say this one's better because it's Spanish. The Colonial Trader happens to be American, which makes it slightly worse.
I can sort of see the merit in this ship if you have Master Bianca from Savage Shores in your fleet. Then you can at least make her a slow ship with a ton of cargo space. But even then, she's not good.
Yeah, it's just a silly conundrum. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a fun problem to try to solve. It's like it's weird.
It's still half the point cost, and you can still get away with it.
Yeah, it's like a lose-lose situation. So I would only use her as like an empty gold runner in a huge game, pretty much.
Oh,
Even that I haven't really done hardly at all, and I've played a lot of those big games, so it says a lot about how bad it is.
Yeah.
Like, a point defense ship. It's like, okay, you sit here and sit by this fort. All right, good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only thought I have is to throw a helmsman, maybe an explorer on her, then dump the crew at the island, at the next island, and run home.
Huh.
You mean crawl home?
Maybe, but then you're really looking at that's 14 points, and you can get a lot more points from the Spanish.
Oh yeah.
Plus, you're wasting 3 points for dropping off the crew at the island, so even that's not even a good scenario.
Yeah. Even within this set, you can spend 14 points on Spanish gold runners far better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Probably 2 Spanish gold runners instead of this 1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Next ship up.
We've got actually a fairly decent ship, and I think that's on me with the HMS Ark Royal. I kind of like this ship. She's very beautiful with a Union Jack on her jib mast. So it's a 3-mast English ship. She's worth 14 points, and with that, you're getting 2 cargo space, S plus S base move, 3 3S guns. She's eternal with broadside attack. Not exactly a great set of abilities, but she is eternal, so if you throw an oarsman on her, she's not being taken. Broadside's attack is a little overrated, but with the lowest being a 3, I mean, it's a 50-50 shot of getting 4 damage in. Not too bad, but again, that's a risk versus reward thing. I do like her paint job though. Yeah. She's very pretty.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I just do Captain, Helmsman, Oarsman, and then I just use it as like a front lines, like not suicide, but just like a front lines ship that goes and attacks immediately. And then I almost try to get sunk, and then so I can come back before the game ends. So Eternal is nice, but the cargo and the cost are really a rough sell. So it's cool, but doesn't quite work. So. And then,
I think that's about how I'd use it too. I do have a quick question. Does broadside's attack apply if you have a musketeer aboard the ship?
No.
I don't believe so.
No, it doesn't. No other abilities can affect a broadside's attack. So even if you did have a musketeer, that musketeer cannon wouldn't take any effect, nor would it get a shot in.
Yep.
I'm gonna say boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have been whining about broadside's attack since it was introduced. Either that, or they've been saying it's overpowered. One of the two. There's rarely middle ground.
Unless you're a Bowen and roll a 6 every time you try to use it.
Yeah, that was nuts. And that was nuts. That was one of those times where it's like, okay, broadside's attack, woohoo, you got it. Otherwise, other times like, nope. For the Royal here, I'd say Eternal is the only reason I would consider using this. It makes the ship interesting and not generic or dull. Yeah. Because that gives you so much more flexibility with it. As has been mentioned, you can almost throw it away if you put on an oarsman to just sail it out there and not worry about missing and keep that broadside attack, because you'll come back.
And I mean, if you get boarded, you can always throw away the helmsman before the oarsman. So
yeah, she's decently quick enough as is without the helmsman.
Right. So that's a good build for it. Let's see, what is that? 6 points on top of that 14 that atop your fleet.
Yeah, that's a good point though.
Only in a 40-point game, and you're probably not going to use this in a 40-point game.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever used this in a 40-point game. I've only ever seen it used by us in either deathmatch games or in the campaign games.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. USS Lennox, 3-masted American ship. For 10 points, you get 4 cargo spaces, base move of L, 3S, 2S, 3S cannons, and once per turn, this ship can randomly take 1 treasure from any ship she touches. It's not bad. Not very good, though.
Yeah, this one I find kind of underrated. I think it's kind of just a slow American hybrid. I just do Captain, Helmsman, 2 cargo spaces left over, and then you've got a treasure ability, reasonable cannons, 2 cargo spaces. So for the Americans, it's an okay slow hybrid. Nothing special, but I think a little bit underrated in the grand scheme of things.
I think this ability is near useless. She's actually pretty good for her cost, considering that she's a small American ship, and most of their small ships are way too expensive.
Yeah.
Still, I'd say this is pretty unexceptional, and yeah, you can probably make her a hybrid, but I would honestly, if I had a cargo master in play, I would just throw a helmsman on her and use her as a gold runner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just go full tilt and make her a small gunship. Captain, helmsman, specialist, and maybe an equipment.
Huh. Yeah, I would just do a hybrid. I would just keep it basic. And then I like how the ability, you could combine that with a boarding party. If you win, you would take up to 2 gold, which is how much space you'd have with a captain and helmsman. So you could do a quick little raid and take 2 coins instead of 1 if you win the board. So not a bad.
Yeah, well, you have to catch up to a gold runner, which at L and presumably S speed, you're maybe not going to do unless you've got a fleet action.
Yeah.
Or you got to attack another slow moving treasure runner.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, so a few nights ago, I was looking outside and I saw the moon.
Oh, God.
There's not a Pale Moon, actually, but that's the name of the next ship. This one is a 2-masted cruise ship. It's another common. So we're into the 2-masted square-rigged ships. And this one's cursed 13 points, 3 cargo, SS move. Cannons are 3L, 2L. And it has the ghost ship keyword. So, like a lot of ships with ghost ship, it's really overpriced. I think this could be 8 or 9 maybe and be kind of a fun little option. But at 13... it's probably not going to get used hardly at all. I will say she's got some stuff going for her. The cargo, speed, and cannons are all at least average, if not slightly above average, so it's not too bad. But as far as sport gunships go, even the Curse can do a little bit better. So Pale Moon is kind of cool. I think it would have been a cool ship to have like translucent, but it's nice, but just it's not actually that good. So.
Yeah, the ghost ship keyword was always way too overpriced. This ship isn't really quite fast enough to make significant use of it. I mean, you can avoid boarding, but you're not going to put valuable crew on this because it's just not statistically well equipped enough to be worthy of expensive named crew or anything like that. So Pale Moon, I think, is just going to kind of slip back into the cracks and be forgotten again once we're done talking about her.
Possibly. You know, someone could build a fleet that's entirely devoted around, all pieces with ghost ship. It'd be like, 150 points.
That's not even funny. It seems like everybody else has run out of things to say about Pale Moon, and I don't blame them.
She's pretty pale,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's about all I'm going to say.
I would say visually she reminds me of Dementors from the Harry Potter series, specifically the movies. And like how right after people got attacked by them, they were encouraged to eat chocolate. Well, right now I want to eat some chocolate, and a major component of chocolate is cacao, which is the next ship, which is an 11-point 2-masted pirate ship. Its guns are 3S and 2S, has L base move, 4 cargo, and the ability once per turn, if this ship is touching another ship, she can randomly take as much treasure from the other ship as she can carry. I think that ability sounds good on paper, but this ship is far too slow to make any use of it. Her guns aren't that great for 11 points. I mean, look at something like Panda if you want a good, expensive pirate 2-master. Yeah. Cacao she's not exceptionally well-armed. She's not fast enough to be a throwaway gold runner. She wants to be a hybrid. She's too slow and not well-armed enough.
Yeah, and too small.
Yeah.
Really.
Reminds me of the Lennox. It would just be kind of like a throwaway, slow hybrid. It's yet another good pirate ship to put Hammersmith on, because then you'd have 3 cargo, so you could take 3 coins if you manage to get to another ship, and then you'd have captain and helmsman, which is something this ship kind of needs to be reasonable. So
that's a very big if.
Yeah, it's a huge if. I mean, I don't think Hammersmith would want to captain this thing. There are better ships for him to be on.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd maybe use this in a just kind of for fun casual fleet, but like other than that, like she's just no.
Yeah. Just no.
Yep.
I think she's all right.
So who here likes chicken wings?
Oh, I do. Why do you
don't?
Yeah. What flavor do you like?
I don't like buffalo wings either.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't like the USS Buffalo either. She is an American 2-master for 10 points with 3 cargo space, S plus S base move. Her cannons are 2S and 3S, and she gets +1 to her boarding rolls. So still very vanilla. The guns again aren't that great. She does have good speed and good cargo. But other than that, she's kind of not very, very good.
Yeah, this one I don't like at all because she's super boring. The epitome of boring. So.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
I honestly think that what you're looking at right here is a 6-point ship where WizKids went to its spreadsheet and went, how much is this ability, how much do we cost this at? Oh, +1 boarding rolls is 4 points. Let's make a 10-point ship without thinking, what else is 10 points in the game's history? Darkhawk 2?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. HMS Nautilus, I think it is. This is a travesty compared to all of those ships.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially as this is like, considerably smaller than both of those previously mentioned ships.
Absolutely. I did want to ask you, Billy, what is it you like to drink with your buffalo wings? Is it wine?
No, I don't drink. Not in that sense, anyways. All right, am I up next for the claret?
Yes, you are.
All right. For 12 points, you get a 3-masted... Is this 3-mast?
Yeah, it is. Okay. 3-masts.
You get a 3-masted pirate schooner. You get 2 cargo, L base move, all 3 L cannons, schooner, and broadsides attack. That's very boring.
This looks straight out of Revolution for some reason to me.
You might be thinking about the Julius Caesar. It had, a similar... It had schooner and broadsides attack, but I think it was a slightly better ship overall. Like a base move of S plus S or something and 3 cargo. But this, the artwork is kind of cool. I've never seen a ship with purple sails before. That's cool.
USS Hudson from South China Seas.
That one's great.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't have a Hudson, so...
Yeah, I have one.
So, yeah.
But purple sails are pretty. I like the hull on this one, too.
Yeah. It's nice,
I
but
mean, it's pretty.
Pride is way better for 1 point more, so it's just like just a power creep, reverse power creep clone type thing. So.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest problem is the ability is entirely wasted by the fact that these are 3L guns, you lose range, and honestly, your odds of landing it are not that good.
Yeah, and there's not enough cargo space either, really.
Yeah.
That too. It's only useful on... I mean, it can be useful on ships this size, but only if the guns are uniform 2S.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a uniform S range.
Yeah.
You don't lose the range.
Yeah, I think if it randomly had 5 cargo, it would be kind of fun to figure out, but there's not many options at 2 at all.
I mean, heck, if this had 3, the fact that it's pirate, you could find so many things to do with it.
Yeah.
But because there's only 2, it's kind of, it's boring.
Huh. All right. So is the next one, and I don't have a pun for Antimasia, but this one is a 3-masted Spanish schooner. It's a 3-masted
Robot
Spanish...
Ben.
What was that?
Robot Ben.
I didn't hear anything.
It's a 3-masted Spanish schooner, common, and it's 14 points, 4 cargo, S move. The cannons are 2L, 3L, 3L, but the 2L is in the middle on the ship. It's a schooner. And if this ship isn't assigned a helmsman crew, roll a d6 after the crew resolves a move action. On a result of 4 through 6, this ship can move L. So, bad ability, really terrible speed, high cost for a 3-masted ship. I would usually put it as like a bizarre hybrid or maybe some kind of gunship, but with such a horrible ability, there's pretty much no reason to ever use it. So the ability is just trash. I think if they nixed the ability completely and then gave it SL speed, just make it automatic, then it would be playable.
Oh, yeah.
It would be playable. It would be too expensive. Like, it should be 11 points even with that, but...
Yeah, I'm thinking about the Serviente, which is a pretty good one. So
yeah. I mean, what's strange to me is that this is only 3 sets from when they re-released Virtuous Wind as a Spanish ship. Which is like, what, this price, only better in literally every way?
Every way.
Yeah.
Yes, in every single way, yes. I mean, that made it into my Jacks of all trades fleet.
Oh, yeah.
That was a fun fleet to build. Yeah, this ship, I don't like the ability. It's unique, but with a base move of S and a 50-50 chance of going L every turn, I think it's kind of garbage.
Yeah.
And you're right.
It's not very good.
I mean, even if you run the odds, you're getting about half of an L every turn. If you just throw a helmsman aboard, you won't have to roll, and you're going to get a better average move.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, this ability would be better if it were on a ship with, like, say, L plus S move.
Yeah.
But even then, I'd probably still have the helmsman anyway.
Yeah, I agree. As is, she just kind of makes me want a York.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. I was blanking on a pun for that one.
Yeah. York is the next ship down the list. This is a 3-masted American schooner, 10 points, 3S, 3L, 3S guns, 3 cargo, SS move, and then once per turn, the ship can look at 1 face-down cargo on any ship. Not exceptional, but not nearly as overpriced or ineffective as the last few we've been reading. I'd say 9 points, and she'd actually be a very underrated choice. As is, she's kind of forgettable, but still a decent ship.
Yeah, I think she's very forgettable. I find this one really boring. I'd rather use the Boston from Revolution.
Okay, that's a better point.
Yeah, or some of the other American ships. I mean, Providence is 2 points more, for example. So, I don't know. York just bores me overall.
Yeah, she kind of makes me mad, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know where you're coming from there.
Yeah, our next ship is the Madness. This one's Cursed, a 2-mast schooner. She's 12 points, 3 cargo space move of L, 2S, 3L cannons. She's a schooner, and once per turn, one of the ship's cannons can shoot again if it misses. Yawn. Another vanilla.
I literally just yawned.
Actually, I did too.
Yeah.
We're not even doing this on video, so you don't have that excuse for contagiousness.
But yeah, she's mediocre even for Cursed standards. Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't touch her.
Yeah, I have no idea why this is 12. I mean, if Cannoneer is 2, how was this 10 before that? I mean, I think it's 6 or 7 points.
But it's Cursed.
It should be 6
it's Cursed, yeah. They need to be able to afford the crew that the millions of crew you're going to put on it.
No.
Mm-hmm. With 3 cargo space. Something I did notice is that the card art says 3S on the front. I'm wondering if that's a typo or if the card itself says 2S or what's up.
No, that's probably a database error. Because I think I used that bow mast like on a custom 1-mast ship.
Yeah,
and it's actually
even worse than we think.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, the picture is 3S, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a yuck ship. Ugh.
Yeah.
Looks like someone sneezed on the sails. Like with a really bad head cold.
It does.
Like the Kraken sneezed on it or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then it rotted for a year.
Oh, imagine the smell.
Yeah.
I'd rather not.
All right. Moving on, we have...
Of a map in Halo 2.
Actually, this is the sound that whatever it was that sneezed made, I think.
Yeah. We've got the Zanzibar. 10-point pirate ship. Yeah, thank you. For 10 points, you get 2 masts, 3 cargo, base move L, 3S, schooner, and gets +1 to boarding rolls. This is like a reskinned Buffalo.
It is.
It's awful.
It's a schooner.
It's awful.
With 1 less mast.
Terrible.
Yeah. The artwork's interesting. You got like the reverse Z on the sails, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, pretty boring.
Is it reversed on the other side?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like
it'd be really weird if it was.
Yeah, from what I remember, I think it's correct. I don't think it's reversed on both sides. It'd be silly.
Which would actually make sense.
It would, but
I don't really. Yeah.
So I don't think this is actually an artwork error.
Yeah, putting those Z's on the sails is kind of weird in the first place. So
one side is going to
it's putting the Z's in our heads right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, this is the epitome of boring. Not many more boring than this for me. I think 5 or 6 points, personally. But oh well.
Yeah, honestly, 6.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad. The next one is not a Shark ship type, like Carcharodon, for example, but it is USS Shark. This is a 2-master, and it looks like the last of the regular rarities in the set, number 081. This is a common American 2-masted schooner, 13 points, 3 cargo, L move, cannons are 3S, 2L. Along with the schooner ability, it has reverse captain, so after the ship resolves a shoot action, she can move as free action. So this one could also be around 6 points, and it's 13, so it's just really, really bad.
I say if you want an overpriced American schooner with this ability, get the Gold Eagle instead.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And even that's not a good ship. This is even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it's got an eagle on the sails.
Well, at least this one has a shark on the sails.
That's true. That's pretty
It's got
cool.
a fin.
Yeah,
That's part of a shark.
Yeah.
It's part of a shark.
Okay.
Speaking
Well,
of,
I guess with the gold eagle, you still have a gold eagle on the sails.
But it doesn't have any
That's
gold.
Yeah.
yeah, and she won't get any gold either. But speaking of sea creatures, the Sea Serpent is another American ship. I think that one's the re-release from OE, and I'm pretty sure it's 13 points SL speed with reverse captain, with rank 2 cannons. So that's like just better as usual. So Shark is almost like an inferior clone type thing, kind of like the Claret with the Pride. So pretty bad.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, the jaws of mediocrity are closing in around me, guys. We gotta move on.
Yeah.
Yep.
It gets a little better in the crew.
Yeah, it does.
Just a teeny bit.
That's a little bit.
All right. Was this mine to start up this one?
Yeah.
All right. Sir Edmund is another one of those cursed 2-point crews. It is a 2-point reducer. They already got one of these, wasn't it? Tabitha McWarren?
No, I don't think they got one.
No, they, I'm pretty sure, have another one of these.
I'm pretty sure they don't.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't. Tabby's
the version that,
she's the crew of any nationality can use her abilities.
And the super rare is the L mover, I think.
All right. Well, then either way, I think this is a valuable crew for some of their crazier builds. But even then, if you're going to do a crazy international build, you might still want Captain Charles Richard instead of this.
Huh.
You know?
Yeah.
He has his uses, but ultimately, the craziest stuff out there, he's probably going to be put on your second craziest ship in your fleet.
Yeah, I actually use him specifically with the Divine Dragon setup where Davy Jones and a captain and helmsman comes to 17, but then the Divine Dragon is 16, so you add Eddie, as I call him, that gets you to 19, minus 3 from the other crew gets you back to 16, so you can finagle Davy Jones aboard the Divine Dragon with this guy, so as a result, this is actually the 2-point reducer that I've used the most by far of any of them.
Yeah.
There's a specific, very good combo, but usually there's not, so it's just a rare case.
I kind of wish he did something else, because his flavor text is really cool. To my knowledge, it's the only flavor text in the game that's written like a limerick.
Yeah, I do remember that one being kind of strange. So I can
Do you have it available to read real quick?
I can probably go and run and grab it real quick.
All right, in that case, I'll just start.
It.
I can start reading the next one while you get that.
All right, I'll be right back then.
Okay. So next we've got a monkey crew named Coconut. It's a pirate crew for 4 points. He is an explorer, and once per turn you can re-roll any die roll you make for this ship. You must use the second die result. Well, that is surprisingly on point cost. Explorer for 1 and re-roll for 3, unless you've got a 0 LR re-roll. But he's common, and yeah.
I'd say that he is at his most valuable in a game with Mysterious Islands, because what you can do is show up at the island, use your Explorer action, and then if you get an unfavorable roll, you can apply the re-roll instantly. Outside of that, I don't really see him being all that useful.
Yeah, I like him on general hybrids, especially ones that might board. So sometimes I use him in conjunction with Hammersmith for 9 total points. Then you combine Captain, Helmsman, Explorer, and reroll into 2 cargo spaces. That's kind of nice. There's a handful of good pirate ships that can pull off that combo well. And then if you really wanted to go crazy, you could also add SAT, same action twice, via Calico Cat maybe, and combine that with a reroll on something like Victoire, and then still have free cargo open out of 6. So I think Coconut's a good crew. It's a cool one. You just kind of have to find the right situation and ship to use him on, but he can be pretty useful overall.
Yeah, you could even combo him up with, I think, some Mysterious Islands maybe.
Yeah,
kind of fun you could go with there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I talked about as what I thought was his best use.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did you get the copy of Sir
yes,
Edmund?
I do have Sir Edmund's card here, his flavor text. Cruel Sir Edmund, Edmund of Kent, pricked his men, his own crew, but ignored their lament. His sword and his temper they all knew too well. If you served under Edmund, you've no fear of hell. Dragged under the sea, consumed by a beast, bound heir to their master as part of the feast. Accursed with his crew, the seas to torment. Dread Sir Edmund, his soul fully spent.
Poor Sir Edmund.
Yeah, I don't feel particularly too bad for him, because I believe canonically this is the same guy from Davy Jones' Curse, Sir Edmund Atkinson.
Yep.
He is. And he was kind of asking for it.
Yeah, he was trying to sacrifice some young girl, so...
Wow.
Or he was trying to sacrifice some young noblewoman.
He's trying to sacrifice anybody for that matter, I'd say is the problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
Eat too rich.
All right. Yeah, so do I have Grim the Savage?
You do. Who looks like he's just like in the very frame he was
he's
painted
very
in.
surprised. Like,
He looks like he has just started to fall, if you know what I mean. Like somebody's pulled the trapdoor out from under him. He's like, oh,
oh dear.
yeah.
Like, what now? I was like, that wasn't just a fart.
That is that face.
Sorry.
It looks like he's
so-
in a cloud, so maybe he farted out like a cloud of white smoke or something. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, that would be cause for concern. All right,
Ability,
for
stink
6
pot
points.
that's me.
Yeah.
Stink pot specialist.
Yeah, that'd be funny if he was that, but he's a Marine, and 6 points. This version of him is pirate. The previous version was Viking or something like that. And I'm not quite sure what happened between being one of the most useful homeland raiding abilities to being a Marine, which is next to useless. Unless you find a way to get a Marine onto like a sub. And I suppose you can since the pirates have the Collector up, but that's like a left field combo that doesn't really get used all that much.
Well, there is also the Slipstream.
Yeah, I'd rather just, have the Collectra.
Yeah, maybe. I'm sure somebody out there has
Pirate-
figured out which one's better for Marine usage.
Overall, maybe the Slipstream, because you could probably get I think the French one or the English one on here for like 2 points less than Grim.
Yeah.
So this is I think this is one of the few examples where the pirates got something overpriced or underpriced for me, considering all of the Marines that I think before Fire and Steel were like 7 to 9 points, but they all had like some kind of cannon bonus.
Yeah.
Like in addition, it was like this guy gets +1 to gun rolls against the English for no good reason.
Yeah, they're usually
And he
7.
costs 9 points.
Yeah, they're 7 usually, but they should be 5, I think. Even those.
Yeah.
I think
there's one in this set that's 5, isn't there?
Yeah, because of the
Yeah, I
hostility.
think that's the French guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's coming up.
Rene Moreau.
Yeah, there's not much
I'm
reason to
saying
use
his
this version
name.
of Grim when the other version is so much more interesting and so much better and allows for a lot more crazy stuff to happen. So I wish Musketeers were 2 and Marines 4, but it's kind of a drastic change to make at this point, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you're next, Ben.
Yeah, it looks like I am. Nice. Okay, so Roberto Santana is a common Spanish crew, 6 points. He's got Loyal Spain, and once per turn, give any ship in your fleet +1 to all of her cannon rolls, which is a nice ability, kind of like a Admiral's cannons bonus type thing. So Thomas Gunn is the other one that has it, along with Captain, but this guy has it for the 6-point cost. And this is a good one. The Spanish have a lot of good ships that could house him and that also could use the bonus. So sometimes I've used it on the ship he's on, just as kind of like an expensive world hater, but then you have the added flexibility of putting it on another ship. So this is really great, especially in big games or games with a big map or campaign games where you've got a lot of good ships to choose from and you can pick different targets each turn. And I've actually used him either on or with flotillas sometimes to give them a little boost on that extended range, because the Spanish have 2 good flotillas and this guy can make them even more devastating. So I would say this is a very good crew overall and one I like a lot.
Yeah, I finally just got a copy of this guy, and I really like it. You can use his bonus with regular world haters on something like the El Neptuno with him on a different ship, so he's got a direct line of fire. So like you even get the longer range to get the cannons to hit there. So as you said, there's a plethora of uses for him for gunships.
And mean, hey, if you're using something like the Splinter with the double range sniper ability, I mean, now you hit on a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you might not actually have that self-destruct ability.
Oh, I'm not talking about that one. That one's still not worth. That one's still not worth it, even if with a +1.
Yeah. Up next is a much less useful Spanish crew. This version of Luis Zuan is 2 points, Loyal Spain helmsman. Why did we need a named helmsman?
We
Exactly.
know
That's exactly what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
They should have
Totally
stopped and
pointless.
ended like named generic crew with Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
They should have never
helmsman.
done them ever.
Yeah, never.
Fair
Yeah,
point.
I agree.
Yeah,
Well, the only exception would be like, the previous version of him. Still 2 points, but now he's a captain for 2
well,
points. Which,
that one's at
that's
least
better.
interesting because this
Yeah,
one's
that
the
one
only
makes sense.
instance. He's the only instance of a 2-point captain.
Yeah.
I think that version of Luis Swan is really interesting. This one is utterly pointless in every way.
Yeah, both of the other two versions are both far better, because then the Mysterious Islands version is Captain and World Hater for 7, which is another good named crew. So this one is by far the worst version and totally forgotten about for good reason. I'm noticing in the flavor it talks about hunting the curse, so they could easily have just done something more interesting, just, +1 to all die rolls against the cursed for 4 points total or something, making at least more interesting.
Just making like a cursed hating like crew. Helmsman and +1 to cannon rolls against the cursed for like 3 to 4 points.
Yeah, at least make it
maybe
something
would be used.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as is, I mean, they should have dropped his point cost again, like they did with the previous version with the captain.
No,
I mean, a 1 point helmsman.
That would
Come
be
on.
interesting.
That'd be too
Okay,
good.
that would be interesting, but that would be too good.
Yeah,
It would
it's
sort of.
Well, not. Well, I guess in a way it would be, but also you couldn't use him with Luis Zuan, the captain, because they're both the same guy.
You couldn't even use them in the same fleet.
Yeah, exactly. So you couldn't have a 1 point or 2 point captain and a 1 point helmsman. So
it'd be one or the other.
Yep. So I mean, even if they'd done that, it would still be perfectly fine because he's still just 1 point helmsman. You couldn't have the other one too.
Yeah. Although I think the reason the other one is 2 points is he's hostile pirate. This one's loyal Spain. So I don't think that's like, a point deduction. But still, loyal Spain, helmsman.
It too, though.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is just proof that not all that glitters is gold.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well done. That's your cue, by the way.
Yep.
That's Vendari. I've got the after.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so we've got Hermione Gold here. She's returning in this set from Rise of the Fiends. She's an 8-point English crew, and anytime she would roll a d6, she rolls 2 instead, and you choose the result you want to use. So this is kind of a more powerful version of the reroll. Instead of saying, "Oh, I missed this roll, I'm going to re-roll it," I'm just going to roll 2 dice now and decide which one hits.
And you can still use reroll with this ability, but you only reroll one of the dice.
There is that as well. So she's pretty good. 8 points is pretty darn expensive, but I haven't played with this ability enough to know if that's actually priced well or not, because that 8 points does kind of scare me a bit, but I could see it being useful because you can use it on any roll, not just a cannon roll.
I'm pretty sure this one is not something that applies to cannon rolls because the next crew only applies to cannon rolls.
Well, this one is a broader umbrella, if you will.
Yeah, this
one
is...
You can use Hermione Gold for like any one time you want to roll a die. You can roll 2.
Yeah, this is one that's effectively a reusable reroll, but not one that you can do for every single roll that you make. For most rolls, yes, you can use it multiple times in the same turn, but for every cannon roll ship makes, no.
Yeah, no, it would be 1 cannon roll, and probably your highest ranked cannon.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'm looking at her artwork. She looks kind of messed up. Is she wearing a choker leash or something?
She's still pretty,
so,
but she looks like she got beat up or something, unfortunately. So on hard times, maybe. I don't know. I thought it was Shadow, but I guess not.
From a narrative perspective, Hermione is actually a pirate, but she is in the service of the crown.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sort of
I
like
think all versions of her have always been English. Like I think the first time you see her, she was in Mysterious Islands.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's completely English, but that's mostly privateer status.
Yeah. She's totally
kind of like Henry Morgan.
Yeah.
English, but not really.
Yeah. So her English status is purely mechanical here.
Yeah, this ability I've always found really overpriced, especially with the pirate code stuff, which I have up here. It's really kind of got nixed in terms of how good it could be versus how good it actually is. So as a result, I pretty much never seek it out. I could see maybe on something like the Shui Jian, but other than a giant ship that gets a ton of actions, this is way overpriced. So,
yeah.
What really limits it is the once each time.
Yeah,
you can only use this like once per turn, kind of.
Yeah, and the other two versions are way better. So just like Louis Zuan, this version's not going to be used probably.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I made a custom version of this ability that literally spelled that out, that you could use it every time you'd roll a die. Oh. You would roll two. You remember that guy from the Americans? Broken. Well, I priced that one kind of around 11.
Yeah, that's
and that's like the upper limits of what I would want to put a crew comfortably.
Yeah.
But considering that any time you'd roll a die for anything, you could roll two.
Yeah.
You have to go back to the drawing board, maybe a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you get the cannoneer who comes in. If you can roll any die.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the next one is similar. So.
All right. Going on. Yeah, Sir Rupert Hargreaves. For 8 points, we have Loyal England. Once per turn, when this ship is given a shoot action, choose a cannon and roll a d6 twice. Choose the result you want to use for the shot. This guy got a heavy redo in the pirate code. As it's worded here, it I think looks like you could only use him for just one cannon, and you would roll 2 dice. However, his redo in the pirate code enables him to, for any cannon you choose to shoot during a shoot action, you can roll 2 dice.
Yeah.
So it's like a cannoneer. It's similar to Hermione Gold, but this is focused exclusively on cannons.
Yep.
You can't use him for anything else.
Yep, he's like a free reroll for every shot if you miss.
Yeah. Yeah, this one, I think this one is similar in terms of, I would probably use them on the Shui Jian, maybe the Dreadnought if Carbon Charlie got aboard, but other than those few ships, I wouldn't really bother with this either. For the most part.
Yeah. I'd probably still take Hermione over him.
Yeah.
If that.
If that.
Assuming there's an option C where I could still pick something else over them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, unless it's like a gigantic game, you can get extra action plus like Musketeer for that, or something like that. So, meh.
Well, I think I might use him on. Is it HMS Leicester that's a 4-master that gets the 2 masts with 1 hit ability?
Yep.
Yeah, Leicester, or however you pronounce it.
It's Leicester.
Yeah,
it's strange English pronunciation rules.
I've been pronounced
I would put Hargreaves on the Leicester with a Musketeer, because those are already pretty high base cannon ranks. They're all 3, but if you put Sir Rupert Hargreaves and a Musketeer on it, you're getting 5 shots like that. You're getting free rerolls on kind of not too accurate guns. So you have, I think, a much more reliable chance of making the best of the ship.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
The other place I've seen him put is on the Endeavor, although I'm not sure why.
Well, the Endeavor is already so accurate with all 2L guns that you're better off with just a World Hater.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But, I saw my brother do that once. I'm like, why? He's just, okay, I want to be certain.
Yeah.
Because I think he was like, Hargreaves and like a generic captain and helmsman and I think a chancellor or something. It was weird.
Yeah, I still think a 10-master for like a Shui Jian type ship
is
best for these abilities. Because then it kind of reminds me of World Hater in terms of the more cannons you have, the more value you're getting out of the ability because you can apply it over and over again. So if you get 20 shots a turn, you could really get value out of Hargreaves.
Just one note about using him over World Hater on the Endeavor is the Endeavor would still have that 1/6 chance of missing on a 1 with the World Hater, but with Hargreaves, that's reduced even further.
Yeah. You get what's effectively a 1 in 36 chance of a miss.
There you go.
Because you're throwing 2 die, and if, it's 1 in 6 times 1 in 6 is 1 in 36. Simple math.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Do we have any more to say, or should we move on to...
Let's move on.
All right.
Gendarme.
Okay. How do you pronounce his name?
Gendarmerie René Moreau.
Well done.
Yeah, I actually used the name Moreau for one of my Pirates characters, so...
All right, I think that's Ben who's got that up next.
Oh, crap, yeah. I'm seeing that. That was amazing. Yeah, so this one's a French common crew, 5 points, and you get a Marine that also is loyal to France and hostile to England. So due to the hostility, WizKids knocked a point off the cost, which is nice, because Marines are overpriced in the first place. I think, as I already talked about, Musketeers at 2 and Marines at 4 from the start would have been more interesting. But, I mean, as Marines go, this guy ties with someone we'll see soon as the cheapest Marine. So therefore, he's a little bit more useful than most of the others, I guess. But 5 points is still too much to pay, I think. But I guess he's a little bit more useful than the other Marines. So there's that.
He's cheaper. He's still nothing excellent. Big shocker, he's a Frenchman that hates the English.
He's the only Marine I've ever actually used in a game.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, just because I didn't want to spend the points on the other ones.
Yep.
I did not see any benefit to it. I mean, it's just it's a single 2S gun, which of itself is fine, and you can even throw it on an island if you wanted to. But still, 6 points is a lot to spend on one crew that does so little.
Yeah.
Well, if he's stationed on an island, you have to hit him twice in the same shoot to get rid of him. So there's that.
That's true, but even still, he doesn't do enough to justify 6 points. Yeah. So with 5 was a little easier to justify, but even then, it's...
Yeah, I've never found Marines
expensive. I agree with Ben.
I've always thought Marines on islands were kind of disappointing because it's such a cool concept, but then they fall prey to the same problem as forts, where the ships are almost always going to have the first shot, so it's not that hard to hit them twice and just take them out before you can even shoot back. So it's not even a good defense option, unfortunately. So
yeah, Marines, they're all too expensive, this one included, even though he's basically the cheapest of them.
Yeah.
Next up is, again, I get a really boring crew to read. This is Guy Laplante, the Fire and Steel version. He's 7 points, common crew, loyal France, Captain S board. They got like 2 or 3 Captain S boarders in this set, didn't they?
Of them.
Yeah, they have 2 identical crew.
Yeah, we went over Philippe Jourdan last time.
And they're not the only ones. There's 2 more before them.
Right.
Yeah, this was totally a pointless crew. I'm not really sure. I think WizKids was being kind of lazy with this set, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, very. I agree. This was like kind of, we need to put something out, so let's just throw all the abilities we have already, and there you go.
Yeah. I do like his artwork. He looks kind of sad. And worn down as if he knows the end is coming. It's yep.
He knows he's been given a terrible ability by WizKids. Okay, no, just a copycat ability.
Yeah, I like to compare this artwork to when you first see him in Revolution. In Revolution, he looks like, he's like, haha, I'm a scoundrel, and I'm happy about that. And this is no more, man.
Yeah, he's
just getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've done a few custom things based on his flavor text here.
Nice.
They'll see them eventually, maybe in Pirates of Severus Magna, if I ever get around to posting all of them.
I was gonna say, with his original art in Revolution, I found a copy of that card online on eBay once for exactly $4.20. So I just cropped it so it's him staring at the 420 going, Because
Oh
I'm
my.
juvenile.
Oh my.
Yeah. I should post that to the forum. Anyway.
Oh yeah, random picks thread.
Yeah, actually.
Nice.
All right, so let's see. I think Tidal Fiends is up next.
Yep. Would that be me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you.
Cool. I wanted to talk about these guys anyway. So yeah, we've got Tidal Fiends. They're a cursed crew. They're 2 points, loyal to the cursed, and they protect a crew with point cost 5 or more. So if it would be eliminate Tidal Fiends instead. Kind of an interesting crew. I've never quite used these myself.
Good.
I'd like to use this style of crew, but sometimes I just don't. I want to spend the points elsewhere.
Oh yeah.
But one thing
always?
I'd like to talk about here, yeah. One thing I would like to bring up here is I really like the concept of these Tidal Fiends. They look like they'd make great enemies for the Pirates RPG.
Yeah, you could get away with. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The ability of these things, not particularly brilliant. The artwork, however, is kind of cool looking. At least once you can see it, because when I first got this, I'm like,
I can't see anything.
hey, it's a white smudge.
It looks like a wave or something. A wave.
Okay, yeah,
Barely.
yeah, it is.
I'm just laughing because there's no reason to ever use these because oarsmen can do the same thing without taking up cargo space. So
and you get the ability to hold off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to not be derelict.
These are horrid.
100% pointless.
Yeah. Just really bad.
For 0 points, maybe.
Not 100%, but
no 100%.
There's kind of a metagame aspect here. If you got an opponent who's using stuff where they get to choose what goes, but even then, I'd probably still be using something else anyway. But just saying, they do have that very, very niche use. Is just say, oh, you want to eliminate that? No, these guys have to go first.
No.
Yeah.
Are there any abilities that can allow you to target specific crew like that?
Only custom stuff.
I don't know.
I've done custom stuff like that, but I don't think there's any. If
there aren't any, then
they're useless because the way by nature, that's what I'm by nature of the rules themselves, they are completely useless. What was WizKids thinking when they made a crew like this? I mean,
they weren't.
I'd rather spend the points on a doctor instead.
Speaking of which, there's one.
Before we get to the doctor, that's what we do with Major Peter Sharp.
Mm-hmm.
He's very sharp.
His eyes are also in much higher detail than the rest of his face.
Yeah, they're sharp.
Very sharp.
It's like somebody cut out a hole in a painting right behind him, and somebody's actually looking through.
Yeah.
It's spooky.
Maybe that's what they did.
It probably is.
You never know. All right, so anyways, Major Peter Sharp is a 5-point English crew. He is loyal England and hostile France, and he's a Marine. He ties the aforementioned gendarme as cheapest Marines ever. However, because they are hostile to each other, you can't ever use them together, which would be really cool.
Yeah, he's all right. Similar same story, basically. So I think I put him on the Dreadnought once, but other than that, haven't used him too much.
Definitely fits in with the set story, though. The war between England and France. I mean, there's a reason they're not going to be in the same fleet together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really see any one specific ship that he would be best on, though.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
I think, not the Gibraltar. I don't know, I had some kind of a while back, but anyway. Alright, so the next one is Dr. Richard Scott, which is an English crew, common 5 points, loyal England, and the doctor ability, so when a phase of crew on the ship would be eliminated, turn it face down instead. So almost the same thing as crew protect, which is usually 4 points. So as I've said before, I think doctor should be 4, so he's overpriced for what you get, and therefore not that usable. There are some English crew with crew protect, at least one, Commander Spencer Portland, and therefore Scott is mostly irrelevant. I don't know if I've used him yet, actually. Maybe, but only in a giant game with no other good options.
I used him for a garbage fleet challenge.
Yeah, before this crew, I don't think this ability has appeared since Crimson Coast. Or wait, no, since Revolution.
That'd be good.
Were there any in between?
Yeah, it should have stayed gone.
Yeah, I agree. It should have stayed an idea in a spreadsheet somewhere never used, and we should have gotten more interesting crew.
Yeah.
Or at least, it shouldn't have come back at 5 points.
Yeah.
If it had come back at 4 or 3, then
or
it would
2.
Be well, maybe.
2 would make it playable. More playable than the title themes, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So fun little story with Dr. Richard Scott here, by the way. Another role RPG related thing. One of my players played a character named Richard Scott. He came up with the name completely independent of ever knowing the existence of this crew.
Nice.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. So part of the backstory for him is that his beef with the main villain is that the villain killed his father, burned down his estates and stuff like that. So I'm toying with the idea of making Dr. Richard Scott his father.
Oh, okay. So then your guy's character will be Richard Scott II.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
I'm still toying with that. I don't know if that's actually what it's going to be.
That's cool.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, after Richard Scott comes a much more valuable crew for slightly cheaper.
Yes.
This version of Lenoir is a 4-point French crew. Loyal France, hostile England, nobody cares about those. What everybody cares about is once per turn, one ship or crew within S of this ship can't use its ability that turn. Highly valuable in all game sizes. I think Ben and, I think all of you can attest to that. I can't, but I know on paper that it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Lenoir is great.
Yeah, he's the only 4-point canceller ever.
Yeah, kind of overpowered
which is cool.
as a result.
Yeah, with how good cancelers are, having him at 4 points is just. If you're playing France, you've got Lenoir. It's hands down.
Yeah.
Unless for some reason you got England in your fleet because he can't be in there with English. But other than that, if you're in France, you've got Lenoir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't have this version of him though.
Huh.
I wish I did. I've only got the first version from Crimson Coast.
Yeah.
I wish I had this version. Instead, I've got the turban one. Oh, lucky. The only two versions of Lenoir I've got are the original and the turban from Rise of the Fiends.
The turban guy.
Yeah, that one and this version always made me think Lenoir was a girl until I read the flavor text. I've already said that. I don't know.
You're of his.
Oh,
there's a typo in the.
Yeah, it says cremates instead of crewmates. That's a very big difference there.
Oops.
Maybe he's burning sacrifices to cancel abilities.
Oh, so that's why you can cancel things.
Should give him black mark.
Cancel the ability.
I would say within
Your
this
wish
set,
has been granted.
Within this set, you could put him on board Enfant Terrible or Terrible instead of, Le Bonaparte, and that might be a combo worth considering.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So. Yeah.
Still be susceptible to ramming, but that would be like a nigh untouchable ship with cannons.
Yeah, that'd be nice. And
yeah,
you should give him black mark for that flavor text thing there. That was weird. But yeah, 4 points for canceller. It's just kind of overpowered. And it's only issue I have with this is the cost is really low. I don't think the hostility of England is enough to bring the cost down with such a good ability. And he is essentially a clone of the Crimson Coast version, just cheaper. So
yeah,
a little bit boring in that regard, but still, one of the best cancelers because of the cheapness.
Mm-hmm. All right, next crew.
We've got Father Doucet. This is the second half of this card with Lenoir.
No, he's
this is a 93A.
Oh, you're right. My bad. I misread the numbers. Yep. Okay. So yeah, we got Father Doucet. He's loyal France for 5 points, and again, he's got the doctor abilities. So kind of set him aside, find something else for 5 points.
Yeah,
a captain and a helmsman.
Or Lenoir.
Yeah. Diamond Nelson Turner.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's me. Okay. Diamond Nelson Turner, for 8 points, you get Hermione Gold from earlier. And we talked about that.
America.
Let's move on. Yeah, from America. Okay. His other two
and
versions.
Loyalty.
That's not so much of a big difference. Okay.
No,
Just
it's
the
not.
fact Loyal America, yeah, it means nothing. I mean, like,
Yeah.
his canceling version is the only version of this that I've ever used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that makes
yeah.
him. Yeah, that version is way better. I'd say this
yeah.
version is a tiny bit usable on maybe the Constitution or the Zanfu from Return to Savage Shores, being the 10 Master of the Laos American crew. But other than that, you'd still be better off with the Canceller. So DNT, as I call him, is kind of mediocre with the other versions.
DMT.
DNT.
I thought you said DMT
Oh,
real
no.
quick. I'm like, what?
I will say the artwork
Ben has
here
an
is
interesting secret life.
cool. Yeah, this artwork is pretty good though, especially now that I've got the full picture up here. It's kind of cool. But anyway,
Looks a bit like the gambler that he's described to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neat.
Anyway, on to the UTs. This one's my personal favorite.
Yay!
The first unique treasure in the set is rare number 094, Turtles. And when revealed, put this treasure and up to 9 other turtles from outside the game within S of the Wild Island. Beginning of each of your turns, the turtles move S toward your home island, avoiding all islands and terrain. And eliminate a turtle if it is touched by any ship or sea monster. Each turtle that touches your home island is worth 1 gold. This is a really interesting UT. It can kind of unbalance some smaller games if you find it on an island close to home. And sometimes it kind of provides too much of an advantage sometimes, but it is a fun UT, a super unique one. And overall, I like it. It's just in certain situations it becomes a little too good. So, and it's a little frustrating. I can attest to this because I found it a bunch of games in a row in Vassal Tournament, I think number 1.
And number 2. There were quite a few times. I was like, he's got the turtles. All right.
So trying to chase them all down can be really annoying. A lot of times you kind of just punt that goal and just ignore them, but you might lose as a result. So I think maybe like 5 turtles would have been okay, but it is fun at least. So yeah, it's neat.
Honestly, I think this piece has more imagination put into it than so far the rest of the set combined.
Oh yeah, I agree with that 100%. This is what probably one of the most unique treasures I've ever seen. I really love its concept, and I think it's kind of balanced out by the fact that your opponent can attack the turtles by ramming them.
Not even necessarily ramming them, just by sailing through them.
Yep.
Yeah, and they only move S, so, are you going to protect them? No.
Sometimes.
Wolf would. Wolf's catchphrase, save the wee turtles!
Yeah.
I'm bored. I'm on board for that.
It's in reference to an episode of The Simpsons, apparently. He was the one that designed this one, so pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, does that mean
no wonder it's not mediocre.
Yeah. Does that mean, though, that this is a Simpsons reference?
That's what I'm looking at the full page on, like you said, you click on them usually. I usually don't, but I did in this case to confirm what I'm seeing in the comments for the miniature. So, yeah.
Wait, yeah, so originally was called Wee Turtles in reference. So, yes, it was actually a Simpsons reference. Interesting.
And yeah, it was supposed to have all 10 turtle tokens instead of regular coins, but they didn't end up printing it like that. So, oh well.
Yeah, honestly, that's a big disappointment, because I'd have loved if they had these little turtle tokens.
Yeah. So now there's a lot of people, including me, kind of temporarily at least, running around trying to get 10 of the
tiny little toy turtles.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have 3, I think, at this point.
Better get 6 more.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of people using little turtle beads as the turtles, because they're about the right size. So.
Yeah, that's what Wolf does. Yep. Yeah, there's a picture of one of his battle reports on Board Game Geek of that.
I think that's where I saw it.
Yeah.
And Vassal has the turtle tokens for this one UT.
Yeah, those are
little
great.
Turtles.
Yep. Those are nice.
All right.
Yeah, when you got a UT that needs custom peripherals, you've got something that's kind of unique.
Yeah. Unintended. Right. And I did check on the crew. Sir Edmund is the only 2-point reducer for the cursed, so that is so therefore he's the only one you bother using if you do use him. But anyway.
All right, next UT up is Mirror of Archimedes. Once per turn, when this ship is given a shoot action, instead of shooting, you can choose one opposing ship that's more than S but less than L away from one of the ship's masts. Then roll a d6. On a 5 or 6, replace up to 2 of the target's masts with fire masts. On result of 1, remove Mirror of Archimedes from the game. Presumably, that's about dropping the mirror.
This is another one that Wolf designed.
And another one that he was inspired by a TV show for, it says.
Mythbusters.
Yeah, I saw that episode.
Yeah, the Archimedes death ray thing.
Yeah.
That's what this is supposed to be.
So I'm wondering how many of Wolf's UTs are now actually inspired by TV shows. We'll see more later in the set, maybe. Yeah, but I think this one's pretty neat. It's kind of out there. Again, a lot more imagination was put into this, pretty obviously, than most of the rest of the set. Again, it looks a lot like equipment to me. Sure, it's powerful, but as a UT, I mean, does it take up treasure? Does anybody know? Or
it won't take up cargo
no, it
space.
doesn't.
Okay, so it's sort of like
get loaded face up, but won't take up cargo space.
Yeah. So basically, this is almost like a better version of Fire Shot. Doesn't take up cargo space. It will go full L range, and it's I'm blanking.
It's a rank 4.
I don't really like this UT actually.
Me either.
Because it has to be more than S but less than L. So it's exclusively saying that you can't use an S range cannon, you can't use an L range cannon. You have to find some middle ground between those two, which is not very much to begin with.
Yeah, it's about an 8.
And then it's like, you got the same odds as getting an extra action.
Yeah.
So if this just had a fixed range, then it would be much, much, much better, in my opinion.
It says on the pirate code, it says some part of the target ship must be within the specified range. It does not have to be entirely within the range. But that being said, I still don't really like this one either. Of the ones Wolf designed, I think this it's weird because I find it overly complicated. I think that more than S but less than L is just totally puts me off of this one. And as a result, I've almost never used it. And even when I have seen it in a game, I don't know if I even bothered to try to use it. And it's not that accurate. I'm just not a fan of this one. And I think it's too complicated for what it does.
Yeah, Wolf's comment here on this, originally he designed it, it was called to be exactly L.
Yeah.
So he wanted it to be L, but it got published differently.
Huh. I think it's necessary on the range.
This was originally supposed to be used by forts, which is interesting.
I do want to say something, having, of course, now reread it. The only ship this could possibly be useful on is a hybrid, something that's going out to find gold but can fight, that finds it and has rank 4 guns. And that's kind of a rare prospect,
Yep.
There aren't a lot of worthwhile hybrids that have rank 4 guns. Maybe the Roanoke, but I can't think of many others.
I mean, you can use it with other cannons. It just takes the place of those. So you could use it.
But then it's sort of a downgrade.
Yeah,
actually, no. It replaces all of your cannons.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking like La Monarca, because then you'd actually have a better chance.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But you probably won't have a captain on that ship, so it's kind
of this is kind of a useless treasure. It looks cool. It's
UT stands for useless treasure.
It looks fun, but
as written, it's not very good.
Yeah, the wording is really messed up.
I would rather use broadsides attack over this.
Yeah, me too. It totally deters.
Yeah, you might hit with a broadsides attack.
Yeah,
right.
If they cleaned up the wording and made it more useful for treasure runners, like you didn't need a shoot action, then it'd be better. But with the wording, it's too complicated and just it's really a chore to figure it out, even, which is too bad.
I mean, what are they reflecting with the mirror? The sun?
Masts. It looks like. I don't know. That's what I thought.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's a lot easier to aim than a cannon.
Yeah, well, I saw the episode that Wolf got inspired from this.
Oh wow!
It's supposed to be like a parabolic dish reflector to literally gather the sunlight and reflect it to one target. It's specifically and magnify it. So it's not supposed to be like a regular plate mirror. It's supposed to be like a parabolic dish. I mean, that's also in the very end of Wolf's comment.
Yeah.
But it's obvious that the artist had no idea what what this was actually referring to and didn't research it, because this is just an antique-looking mirror, not a parabolic dish. Maybe they thought it was a normal mirror with some sort of magical properties?
I don't know. I think another way to improve this would be just to take away the die roll and just eliminate it from your ship, remove it from the game, and just replace 2 masts on the target ship with fire masts.
Yeah.
That could potentially make it overpowered, but I would like that as opposed to being obscure.
I think that would work if it was 1 fire mast. I think that would be decent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Just give up your shoot action for 1 turn.
Okay.
So I think Bombardiers may be more usable. You could put this on a Bombardier.
Yeah. Maybe.
Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
That would be me, right? I'm actually just going to do these together because they're virtually the same thing. We've got the French and English royal decrees. So respectively, each time this ship sinks a non-French or non-English ship, randomly choose 1 gold coin on a wild island and put it on your home island. So the French is out sinking the English, and the English are out searching for the French. So again, reinforcing the story of England versus France in the set. Pretty interesting in smaller games, not so useful, but it might be a lot better. It could see a lot of action in a higher point game like your campaign games.
Yeah.
Because
I like the concept. I just haven't really had a chance to use them all that much, so it's kind of interesting.
I think I've misinterpreted or misread these a couple times because I've because randomly choose 1 gold coin on a wild island. I've kind of like glossed over that bit and just like randomly gotten a coin from outside the game and placed it on my home island for these things.
Oh boy. Like one of those 100 coins.
Not one of those, just like a random coin.
Yeah, I know.
Right. I mean, I can only see this being useful if a hybrid finds it.
Yeah. Or you could give it away, but it'd take a lot.
You could transfer it.
Yeah. That's kind of a pain, though, to me. So.
Yeah. You could get weirdly lucky. I think I might have asked in the rules thread. Let me peek at the code here. But there could be weird interactions where you transfer home UTs that don't apply. Like if you get what if you put wolves on your home island?
I was going to say. Or blood money on your own home island.
Yeah. Okay, so the code says if the randomly chosen treasure is a unique treasure, it is placed on your home island. If it has no effect, even if it would normally produce a gold value, and cannot be loaded by any ship. So it's just a dud, basically. It just nixes it. So, oh well.
That's cool.
The other thing to think about with these unique treasures is in a 40-point game, their fleets are generally like 2, 3, maybe 4 ships, right?
Yeah.
So you're only going to get a couple of uses out of this one treasure. So it's like I was saying, it's probably a lot more useful in larger games where there are a lot more ships to sink.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, bigger games or find it early in a smaller game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Good point.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to deck cannon.
Yeah.
There goes Eric.
Pardon me, I had to yawn. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
All right, deck cannon. This ship gains a 2S cannon that may shoot from any mast. Deck cannon can be eliminated only when this ship sinks.
I like that.
Kind of cool. Yeah, I like it too. I think this is one of my favorite UTs from the set. Artwork kind of makes it out to look like a carronade, kind of. Like you might have found on an English ship of the line. It looks like it's cast out of bronze, though, or something. The artwork.
Might have been.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Anyways, once you get this on a ship, it's just a regular 2S cannon. Which I guess means you could apply cannon bonuses to it.
Yep. Yeah, that's what it says in the pirate code. Yep.
Cool. I'm not familiar about all the crazy things you could do with this, but I'm thinking about using a specialist on this 2S cannon, using an equipment on the 2S cannon, or something like that. What's real nice about this is because it's a unique treasure, you could find it and then give it to another ship, which is cool.
Yeah, I would want to get this on board a 2-master or a 2-master with only 2S guns and broadsides attack.
Yeah.
Because then you could roll up somewhere and basically hit somebody with 4 shots worth.
Yeah.
Well, broadside attack still wouldn't count this cannon, though, because it's another ability, not an actual cannon.
It would, though, wouldn't it? Because the ship gains a cannon.
Right, but it's getting the cannon from an ability, and broadside attack would negate that.
I'm looking it up, but I don't know that the code will have anything. It doesn't.
This might be under like the same gray area about, you know, if you use like those eliminate a treasure, gain a 3S cannon. This might be similar to that in that, you know, once the cannon is there, it's just treated like a regular cannon.
I think
that's
so,
kind of how I've like thought of it and maybe played it. I don't think I've used broadsides with this.
I don't know, maybe.
You know,
Research is required. We'll ask Wolf.
We'll ask Wolf later.
I don't see anything in the pirate code under either one. So
that says you can't, so if it says you can't, that means you can.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
okay.
Because
it is kind of a gray area, but
yeah, it's technically an ability, but then the ship like gains the cannon, so it's like one of the cannon, and it doesn't. It's not quite like a musketeer in terms of crew,
right?
So it might still work. That is a weird one. All right.
Yeah, we'll get clarification later.
Yeah. All right. So I guess I got the
Wolf,
next
if
one.
you're listening.
So the next one is ammunition, which is another rare UT, number 099. And when revealed, this player chooses a piece of equipment with shot in the name from outside the game and assigns it to this ship. That equipment does not take up cargo space. This one is one I really love. And I've used it a bunch of times. And we're going to get to the shots pretty soon. Exploding shot is worth 3 points. So you kind of get a freebie 3-point equipment a lot of times. Or you could pick one based on the situation you're in. Maybe smoke pot shot if you wanted to, if you had like a gold runner with reverse captain or something like that for a defensive strategy. So this one I like a lot, and I've used it a bunch. It's a lot of fun. And you can transfer it too. It's nice.
The equipment, or are you talking about the UT?
Nah, the shot. Put it on a gunship.
True. Yeah, you can transfer the UT before revealing it. That's true.
Yep.
Good point.
Yeah, I think you could transfer the shot after, right? Yours says
assigned, but assigned to the ship, that equipment does not take up cargo space. I'm guessing the lack of cargo space thing only applies on the ship that it's revealed on.
I don't know. Let me look that up as well. And I think
that's gonna need looking up definitely, because with the way it's worded, it seems like if you transferred it still wouldn't take up cargo space. But I
agree.
I'm no longer an expert on the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says when revealed that you're supposed to reveal it at the island, or else it would say you can load the treasure face down, which it doesn't say that. So the pirate code, all the pirate code says equipment added by this unique treasure counts towards the ship's point limit. That's all the pirate code says. So
okay.
So I'll figure out a post here soon. In the rules.
All right. Then I'll read off. I will group up all the letters of marque. There is a French, English, Spanish, and American letter of marque, and it says this ship can use parley against insert faction here ships. If the ship shoots at same insert faction here ship, remove insert faction here letter of marque from the game. This is only useful if you know you're going up against that very faction. And if you know you're going up against a faction, then you're probably going to tilt your fleet to use faction bonuses anyway, and 1 point worth. I mean, it's 1 point for parley, but I'm not sure this is all that good.
I actually think it's a really interesting niche piece that's like really underrated, but that being said, I haven't used it that much either. I think there's a lot of like hidden potential, and I think it's worth further discussion maybe on a later episode. But part of the reason I say that, put
it down as one of those discussion things.
Yeah, part of the reason I say that is parley is underrated and kind of underutilized in general. And then with these, you could use the zero limit ransom +5 crew once you see your opponent's fleet to bring one of these in. And not only that, since they're only 1 point, they're easily used during launches for campaign games. So so once you start the game, you could purchase these during launches and put them on gold runners. Which I haven't done yet, but that's definitely a strategy I'd like to try out at least when I'm at war with somebody in a campaign game. That would be an interesting strategy, I think.
Yeah, I've used these almost exclusively in the campaigns that I play in the summer because they give like a ship that's using them parlay, And part of the rules for the summer campaigns I play, if you have parlay, you can use it to trade at a trading port and not have to pay the gold fee.
Nice.
And that's about the only reason these get used, at least for in the campaigns.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
You know, if Pirates allowed for like a sideboard, say like 15 points worth of pieces just kind of on the side that you could trade out with, these would be a lot more useful. Because then you could play a game against your opponent, then go into game 2, switch out with pieces in your side fleet, and say, all right, let's go again for game 2. But other than that, yeah, these are kind of useless, except for the situations you guys have already talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Mhm.
So, Vendari.
Yeah, all right. I've got the grapple shot. I was about to say great, but no, it's grapple shot. Once per turn, when this ship is given a shoot action, one of her cannons can shoot a grapple shot. Declare which cannon will shoot the grapple shot before rolling the d6. If it hits, do not eliminate a mast. Instead, the ship can initiate a boarding party against the target. If the cannon rolls 1, remove grapple shot from the game. And all of this is for 1 point. So it's essentially an S or L board with the
it's a
requirement
cannon
of
range
shooting.
board.
It's a cannon range board. Yeah, there you go.
So if you put this on a sniper, like the El Neptuno or the Freedom's Hand, and you hit,
Yeah.
all right, and you've got like some nasty boarding thing back on your ship, and you win the board.
Yeah.
This is like
Yeah.
a fun one. I like the potential you could have with this, especially if you combo this up with like a sniper, and then some UTs that boost ranges.
Yeah. You could think of like really nasty combos if you spent a ton of points. You could copy extended range on a 10 mast with Nemo or something like that.
Oh,
that would be really
man.
nasty.
Oh yes, all kinds of fun can be had with grapple shot.
Yeah. That being said, I need to use it more. I've hardly used this one ever. So
I just like the pirates. I think in Century of Economy right now just put this on a ship.
Nice.
So we'll see what happens with that there.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I need to put on my list of like stuff to use more, along with the letters of marque, actually.
A question here.
Yeah.
So you can, if you make space on a flotilla, put equipment on board. Can you initiate a boarding party with a flotilla by using this?
Interesting.
I think technically yes you could, but a flotilla doesn't have masts, so
I know you'd lose it. I'm saying can you, not should you.
Well, I guess you can.
I think you could, because I mean, there's nothing saying that you can't. I mean, you obviously couldn't tow a flotilla if you cancel this keyword because there's no bow, but the only reason it can't carry anything is because it doesn't have any cargo space. So, I mean, if someone was using like Master Bianco to give Armada cargo space, sure, you could board it to kill whatever crew they put on there.
Or you'd have to target like a 1 master or something and hope the other person rolls like a 1, because you're essentially starting out with 0 if you're using the flotilla. So all your boarding would have to come from the die roll.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm saying can you, not should you.
No, you were saying could you load it onto a flotilla? Oh, sure, you could.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you have cargo space for it.
Oh, yeah. Like during game setup when you're like placing crew and whatnot, you could put down your cargo master or whatever. And so that would be you'd have to either use something Spanish or the Minuteman, because those are the 2 factions that got cargo masters.
I do have another idea for this as well. I'm guessing all of you guys are aware of those weird ways people come up with to get super crazy range out of some guns, like Nemo's plans, extended range, sniping ability, power cannons, all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Give a ship crazy range and then have it shoot grapple shot.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying.
So you can do LLLL boarding instead of S boarding.
Yeah.
Find a way to do that on like a cursed ship or something with the white crew.
Yeah, it's kind of
or something similar.
Yeah, that's what I was
saying. The mental image on that just kind of weird to think about.
or maybe instead of Nemo, Gold Capture could work too, with extended range copying it, something like that.
Yeah, actually, the hard part is as soon as you start stacking up stuff to get crazy range, you start to run out of cargo space.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sticking to LL is, that's still decent. So it's compared to S board. So
yeah, I mean, if you get lucky rolls with like a standard sniper, you don't need to stack up so much.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still just quite fun. It's like, all right, I'm going to shoot you from L plus L away, and then I'm going to board you from L plus L away. Wait, what?
Yeah. So part of the reason I wasn't saying something before that, I was poring over the pirate code. The flotilla entry is pretty gigantic, and it says a flotilla does not have mass, so abilities and effects that refer to mass have no effect. So I don't know if boarding is an effect. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So I'll have to ask about that one.
Well, boarding is an action.
Yeah, it's part of an action. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it only uses mass to help calculate the odds of winning versus like being an actual ability in itself. So
yeah,
it would just get a +0 to its boarding roll. Is all it is.
Huh.
Yeah, I figured that would be about how it works. Even though it has a flag is not a mast, as I think the code already establishes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I think we can move on to smoke pot shot unless anybody else has stuff they want to say.
No, I'm good.
No.
All right.
All right, so smoke pot shot, I believe that's me, is it?
Yep.
I think so.
All right, smoke pot shot. 3 points equipment. Once per turn, when a ship is given a shoot action, one of her cannons can shoot a smoke pot shot. You do not need to target a ship. Simply place the center of a fog bank within S of this ship. It can't touch or any island or ship. Remove the fog bank at the beginning of your next turn. Okay, smoke pot specialists are 2 points. Why is this 3?
No, the specialists are 3 too, unfortunately.
Really? They are? I thought they were 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
All those specialists, let's see.
They should be 2. I wish they were. And I talked about that on, I think it was a blog maybe, something like that.
Yeah, I don't actually understand why this needs to exist. All factions got smoke pot specialists.
Well, all factions got fire pod specialists too, but now we have fire shot and exploding shot.
Well, those two have a big difference.
Exploding shot is extra. Fire shot's kind of boring.
So am I.
A little bit.
That's true.
Yes, smoke pot shot is like the most similar to the specialist because it's basically the same. So
yeah,
I wish
they were.
Since
you can never miss, you can never eliminate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, wait. One thing, it's not crew, and when you lose a boarding party, you can lose crew, but are you able to lose equipment?
No, you're not supposed to. No.
So smoke pot shot, then it's kind of immune then.
Yeah, which can be bad because you might want to sacrifice the specialist first before the captain, for example.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, I think these should be 2. Same with the specialist. But that being said, I kind of just another niche option for the strategies that use this, like home island raiding with fog hopping and that sort of thing. So artwork is kind of neat. It reminds me of the bludgers from Harry Potter, kind of.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll cover the next one, and then I got to do a quick break. Chain shot is the next equipment, and it's 1 point. And this one's uncommon as well. Once per turn, when this ship is given a shoot action, one of her cannons can shoot a chain shot. Declare which cannon will shoot the chain shot before rolling a d6. If the shot hits, do not eliminate a mass. Instead, the target can't move on her next turn. If the cannon rolls a 1, remove chain shot from the game. So half the price of the chain shot specialist because it's got that negative where you can lose it. But I think this one is usable. Same with grapple shot. I need to use it more. I just haven't really experienced it too much. Same with chain shot specialists actually. So I think both have some niche uses, but I'd still rather use fire shot for the most part, and sometimes stink pot shot as well. So it's okay for 1 point, but not great.
I mean,
I'd say
Nubian Prince comes to mind for this one.
That's literally what I was going to say. Any ship with the can't be shot at within S, where you trap somebody within range of that ability, is going to be the perfect place to use this. It's obviously not a guaranteed hit, so it won't always work. But then again, you can't always escape the within S range of one of those ships and get yourself into a decent shooting position anyway. So I don't have much to add on top of that.
Yeah, I mean,
neither do I.
I was saying Nubian Prince because it's got a rank 2 cannon, whereas with like Le Bonaparte, all of her cannons are 3. So with Nubian Prince, you've got a more reliable cannon to shoot the chain shot from.
What's that one UT from Mysterious Islands where one cannon you shoot automatically hits? Is that targeting scope?
I believe so.
I think that's targeting scope. Periscope?
No.
No, Periscope lets you look at treasury. I think it is targeting scope.
Okay, so targeting scope, Nemo's plans, and chain shot, you can permanently immobilize a ship. And if you have the can't be shot at with an S, then you can, in theory, keep them, you can keep them immobilized and you can't be shot back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they would hate you forever.
Yes, they would.
But such is the way of piracy.
They're more like guidelines.
And actual rules.
All right, who's got the next one?
It'll be me. I'm writing down something real quick. That idea specifically. Targeting scope. Okay, next one is grape shot. Once per turn, when the ship is given a shoot action, one of her cannons may shoot a grape shot. Declare which cannon will shoot the grape shot before rolling a d6. If it hits, eliminate a crew instead of a mast. If the cannon rolls a 1, remove grape shot from the game. It's 1 point. So it's eliminate a crew instead of a mast. I'm trying to figure out a situation in which this is expressly better than, firing a normal shot.
Well, I mean, if your opponent has a ton of crew, a bunch of good fighting crew, you might as well have something that can take them out.
One idea I've just had, a cargo eliminator like Assassino de la Nave. Can you trade destroying a mast for killing a second crew? Ben?
If you hit, you might be able to get 2 cargo then with grape shot.
Yeah.
Combo with one of those cargo eliminators.
Yeah. So I was talking about how grape shot doesn't seem all that useful, but then I'm like, well, if you put it on Assassino de la Nave, can you trade the mass damage to kill a second crew? And I think there's at least one faction out there that has, a first shot, the ship hits each turn, it kills a crew. Can you stack those 3 abilities and kill 3 crew with a single shot?
I think some of them might. It just says pirate code. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It says use of this ability is optional for the cargo wrecking, and you may choose whether or not to apply this ability after each hit. It says you may also eliminate one cargo. So I feel like you have to take out the mast in order to take out the cargo. So I'd rather just use the regular cannon in that case. So
yeah, I mean, I'd rather use regular cannon anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Grape shot in general, I do like. I find it pretty useful. It's a good one in general if you need to take out crew. So, and then you can use it with like 2L and 3L guns, which is nice. So it's decent.
And it is only 1 point, so it's not like you're giving up too much for the option of killing a crew over a mast.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Who's next up with Stinkpot Shot?
That would be me. So we've got a ball that Grim the Savage kind of let loose. Come back to that discussion.
Oh man.
So again, this is once per turn. Choose a cannon before you roll the dice. If it hits, don't eliminate a mast. Instead, the target's crew cannot use their abilities on her turn because they're so grossed out because it smells so bad, and because it's a shot equipment. If it comes, you eliminate it on the result of a 1. It's pretty good. It's a nice all-around counselor, not as reliable as someone say like Lenoir, but the range can technically be increased to L because you shoot it from a cannon instead, but you also have the chance of missing because you still have to roll a die.
Yeah, I think this is. Yeah, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I think this is one of the most underrated game pieces in the whole game because for 1 point, you can, if you hit, which isn't that hard a lot of times, you might use it with 2L guns, maybe with World Hater, stuff like that. You can cancel all of the target's crew for their next crew. It's not limited to 1, so it's way cheaper than cancelers, and you can affect many more than just 1 ability. So Stingpot Shot, I think, is still one of the most underrated and underutilized things in the game. I've used it sometimes to decent effect, and it's one of my favorite equipment as a result, along with Fire Shot and Exploding Shot.
Can you combine it with Lenoir and say if you hit with this, then use Lenoir's ability on the ship?
Yeah, you could do that. Yep.
So you can just blast them with disabling stuff.
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, disable the crew and disable the ship itself. Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
Although the downside to having just the sting pot though is because you have to use a shoot action. You can't use it defensively against a captain. So unlike with cancel crew like Lenoir, that you can use as soon as the enemy ship gets within range, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to cancel your captain, so you can't shoot me now."
Yep.
You have to actually wait till they're actually in range, or you have to get the first shot off.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's true.
You can combo it up with the limited edition version here, which I'm looking at is slightly different.
We'll get to that, though, a little bit later. Who has Exploding Shot?
That would be
I believe that's me.
You might want to get that checked out.
Yeah. For 3 points, you get Exploding Shot. Once per turn, when this ship is given a shoot action, one of her cannons can shoot an exploding shot. Declare which cannon will shoot the exploding shot before rolling the d6. If it hits, the target's controller replaces one mast with a fire mast and eliminates a crew. Cannon rolls a 1, remove exploding shot from the game, and eliminate a mast from this ship. Highly destructive, and I like it.
Yep.
I use this.
Go ahead.
I use this over Fire Shot any chance I get, because I don't like setting myself on fire. I'd just rather, have a mast eliminated.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I was about to make that point too.
It's more powerful on offense than Fire Shot is because you immediately kill a crew too.
Yeah. But for 3 times the cost, sometimes I shy away from it because it is pretty expensive. You can still lose it with a 1. It still damages your ship if you lose it. And for 3 points, you could get Fire Shot, Grape Shot, and Stingpot Shot with enough cargo. So it's great, but I think the price is a little bit, kind of hinders how amazing it is a little bit. Still pretty cool though. And this one, I don't know if somebody mentioned it, along with Smoke Pot Shot, if anybody's listening and they think they're 1 point, they are supposed to be 3. It's a misprint, unfortunately. So, oh well.
At least these versions are 3.
All right.
I'm actually playing with ideas for this, but I can't get into one of the ideas until we start the next one, which I think is yours, Ben.
Yeah. Cool. So Double Shot is the last equipment for now, uncommon, and it's 1 point. Once per turn, when the ship is given a shoot action, one of her cannons can shoot a double shot. Declare which cannon will shoot the double shot before rolling the d6. If it hits, the cannon can shoot again. If either cannon roll is 1, remove double shot from the game and eliminate a mast from this ship. So I don't like this one because I don't really roll that well in shoot actions, and I do roll, a decent amount of 1s. So even if you hit with the first one, you might roll a 1 with the second shot. So this one I find very high risk, and the reward is kind of meh. So I'd much rather use Grape Shot, Stingpot Shot, or Fire Shot for 1 point. So this one I haven't used much, and I don't really plan to all that much in the future.
Well, speaking of said shots, I was playing with this while you guys were talking about other shots. Are you allowed to stack other kinds of shot on top of this? Say activate double shot, and then say this first shot that I fire is going to be exploding shot, and then if that hits, say this next one I fire is going to be grape shot.
I'm not sure. I don't know if you have to only assign 1 shot per cannon per turn, but if not, you could do that.
Because it doesn't say you can't.
Yeah.
I might roll it that way, but the other thing to consider is that it would also take up 2 more cargo space if you're going to do that. So I think that would actually balance out in that manner.
Yeah.
So you'd be taking up a whole 3 space just on equipment.
You would, and that's kind of a big price to pay. I had another
especially
idea.
if all of them backfire at once.
Oh yes,
yeah, definitely. I did have another idea that was related to something we came up with earlier. Do you remember we were talking about Hargreaves?
Oh,
yeah.
I just found
Hargreaves
something.
plus double shot would probably greatly increase his utility, and then I thought, well, why not throw that together with the combination I thought of earlier: Hargreaves, double shot, Lester, and Musketeer.
Huh. I'm seeing in the pirate code, it's under equipment, and it says only one-shot equipment or specialist crew can be assigned to each cannon on a ship. So
There you go.
not going to work too well. Yeah.
Boo.
Good idea, but yeah, it's dead in the water now.
Yeah.
That's why I like having the code up, so you can get instant answers when they're available, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Usually we get like 2 or 3 rules questions per set review, I think. So.
Oh yeah.
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 Of course, given the kind of the price you would have to pay for that suggestion, I might just house rule that. Like, if you're willing to spend the cargo on that, go for it.
Yeah.
Extra weapons.
I've got the captain over here.
Yeah, if your rolls are good enough, then the fact that you're spending so much on that cargo space says, oh, that's fair. Or so the house rules say. Now that we've gone through double shot, I want to talk about the generic crew just sort of in general with this set. They actually had, was this the first time that they had unique artwork for every single...
Rise of the
second
Phoenix
time.
started
Rise of the
that.
Phoenix is the first.
Okay. Let's see. I do want to point out on 112, the Pirate Cannoneer, there appears to be a signature in the top right, possibly an artist's signature.
Yeah. KY07. Katie? I don't know. Katie? Looks like a
Katie Young or something.
Huh.
Who knows? Well, if it does say 07, that would have been maybe when the art was done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe.
Possible.
Yeah, it came out in April 2008, so probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think next up then are the super rares, and I think it's Vendari's turn to start.
Yeah. I get to start off with the skin flare. I really I like the art on this one. Love the shiny blades on her.
Yeah.
The skin sails are a nice touch and kind of fit the namesake here. Like they flayed skin and hoisted them up. So she is a switchblade with Eternal. Super rare. Point value is 21. And for that amount of points, you are getting 4 cargo space, base move of L, 4 2S cannons. I like her. I think she's definitely one of the better switchblades.
I agree.
She's got fantastic guns, great cargo. She's still a little slow, but like they're all slow except for the saber. But she's a gorgeous ship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Probably
cool.
one of the more playable ones.
Yeah, I think it's a cool concept, and I like her quite a bunch. Way better than the sickle, which we talked about a month ago. And yeah, this is one of the best switchblades. Sometimes I like the saber better for crazy crew setups, but this one can get pretty crazy too with the curse. So a lot of crew combos here. Same with Skull, White Crew, maybe some version of Davy Jones or Phantasma. So you got a lot of great options here. So nice switchblade.
Yeah.
I also find the plastic that she's made from is quite durable too.
I'm guessing you found that out the hard way.
I mean, I have one.
Yeah. I think also this is probably one of, if not outright, the best switchblade because its base stats are actually pretty strong, unlike most of the rest of them. Eternal's undercosted. Switchblade is a little expensive, but honestly, this is probably at the right price.
Yeah.
Considering that Eternal's too cheap, Switchblade is too expensive, the base stats are mostly decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say either version of Same with the Skull is useful because Switchblades have their emphasis on boarding. So you could use, if you really wanted, the Davy Jones Curse version of Same with the Skull and White Crew.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Save a cargo space along the way for like a 1-point equipment or something, like a double shot or a fire shot, deal extra damage.
Yeah, because
you got yourself a pretty nasty ship there.
Yeah, and you would need, you would need an oarsman because it's got Eternal, and you would need a helmsman because the base move is only L.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you could...
Turn this into a one-ship deathmatch fleet.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So then you'll also need a shipwright.
Yeah, in theory.
Or just always get the first shot in.
Yeah.
If you can.
I would really want an S-boarder on this, just because. But the Curse only have so much... Do they even have an S-boarder?
I don't think
they do, but the fact that it's a switchblade means you don't ever have to ram with one of these things.
I know, but can't you stack...
Where you can,
can't you just stack the S-board and the switchblade?
You can.
Well, you could, but
you could.
Any ship you touch with the blades, you could board. So if there was a wide enough gap, you could sail right between two ships and switchblade them
both
and
of
shoot
them.
at both. Yeah,
I know. I know. That's the point.
Yep.
I like how how you could S-board from the blade range to get it's almost like an SS board in the range. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Kind of jump.
Yeah, actually, are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why not. You can retract them or extend them whenever you want. So you should be able to have White Crew theoretically would run along the blades and then jump off and fly S.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna put that down as a rules question. Can the S be measured from literally anywhere?
Yeah, it can be. It's not much. Yeah, it's pretty much.
That might be interesting.
It's pretty much already answered. So.
Well, I have a couple details to the question that I want to pose to Wolf. One of them being, if you have a flame strike cannon, can you measure the S from the end of the flame?
Oh no, you can't do that.
That would be a no, because technically that flame doesn't exist.
Yeah, that is the flame.
But it does. It's part of the ship.
No, the rules specifically state that the flame part is actually not a physical part of the ship, even though in the real world it is physically part of the ship.
Yeah, the flame strike part acts as the S, so you measure with it instead of from it.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a very fancy S measure.
Yeah, it's a very fancy measurement tool. It doesn't exist as far as the game itself is concerned. Anyway,
unless you had a firebender or something.
Although, God Mason, for fun, sometimes if you have two bombardiers, you can connect one of the flame strikes to the end of another one and have it, be a big flamethrower. So, but that would have to be
extra.
And then sometimes it gets fragile and falls off. So, oh well.
Yeah,
I'd say probably more than sometimes.
I honestly never even use those, just because it's awkward to use that piece.
Yeah, you could attach it to the switchblade and then have fire coming out of both of those.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought it was a jet-propelled ship. Extend the blades and get two bombardier pieces and put them on the back.
Actually, wait.
Nice.
How about every single little open notch? How about somebody gets, say, a five-master, and then instead of the jib sail up front, there's just a big fire coming out the front of it.
This is an interesting idea.
And off of the tab where the flag goes.
Pirates movie.
Yeah, Xerix, this is a good idea for physical customs. You could have a curse ship, a five-master, and then instead of the middle mast, just have the bombardier flame strike straight up in the air and call it the pyre or some kind of death pyre.
Cool. It's a really short, very fiery smokestack.
Yeah, it's a good custom idea.
Even better, just put fire masts in the entire thing and then ram things with it.
Yeah,
everything else catches on fire. Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
That's like fire ships. I actually did a custom about that.
I actually had an idea for a custom ship. Ben, I actually told you about it. The Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we read through that on the podcast once.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. I think I had a similar idea at some point. I don't remember the details of it, except for the fact that when you ram things, they're on fire. Anyway, I think it's Billy's turn to read the Silver Coffin.
Alrighty, Silver Coffin, 7 points, 0 cargo space, base move T because you're a flotilla, cannons of 4L, 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 and 4L, and you are cursed. You've got flotilla and extended range. Not very good, necessarily. However, this is, I think, one of 2 flotilla that have L-range cannons on them. So, your effective firing arc is L plus L. And you don't need cannon bonuses, you're just extended. So you could go either way with this. You could say it's bad. You could say it's good. I'm not sure myself how I feel about the Silver Coffin.
I think it's
I'm fond of the accuracy.
Yeah, I think it's decent, but I'd rather use the Death Anchor with the 3S.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think my thoughts are, because it does have all L-range guns, it's worth improving. It's worth figuring out ways to get bonuses on it. You can't get any crew on board, so don't try. But I would say that if you can figure out ways to improve the gun ranks, it may be one of the better ones. If you don't improve it, though, the rank 4 guns are just not accurate enough, and they're not very good.
Well, if you have a mixed fleet with Spain or something, you could use Roberto Santana.
Yep.
Yeah. I think, I've made at least one custom first crew with that ability, too.
All right, so I've got about 20 minutes left here.
Cool.
So if we're not done, feel free to continue without me.
Yeah.
All right. I think...
Coming back around to Ben with Tabitha McWarren.
Oh, nice. All right, yeah, thanks. So Tabby, as I call her, Tabitha McWarren, gets another version here. This one's the super rare version, 6 points, cursed crew, loyal to the cursed, and L mover. So give the ship a move action, but do not move her. Instead, roll a d6 on a result of 5 or 6. Move an enemy ship L in any direction. So this one is cool. The picture doesn't show that her eyes are like glowing silver. The light's not on her eyes. It's really crazy when you first encounter her.
Yeah.
Because you're used to seeing her in the database, but then when you actually get the crew ship out, it's like, whoa, it's kind of freaks you out.
She's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it kind of freaks you out because you don't expect it to be so shiny from the database picture, at least. But it's a slightly disappointing because Screaming Mimi is a clone, this girl is a clone of Screaming Mimi from Davy Jones' Curse, another super rare Curse crew. But that being said, the Curse could use more L movers because it's a decent ability, especially for a gimmicky faction like the Curse. And I proved in Vassal Campaign Game 1 that it can be pretty effective, actually, in a pretty brutal and kind of mean way. So, in terms of mind control, the Curse are pretty much the best faction for that. And this version of Tabby is kind of comparable, I guess, in how good she is compared to the Crew of Any Nationality 3-point crew from DJC. Very different, but both decent, if not all that exceptional. So I think she's usable, and I like it in bigger games, definitely.
Yeah, I do like the ability, just to get an enemy ship closer to you. Like if you're chasing down a gold runner, it's like, oh no, you don't. You're coming back here. Or oh hey, there's a reef nearby. You just sailed right over that.
Or even a fog bank.
No.
Or even a fog bank.
No, Vendari's with the reef. I've had that done to me a couple times when I've been using the Balhuan, and I've done that to people against their capital ships. It's at one hand, when you do it, it's fun when you're doing it to someone else, but when it gets used against you, you instantly hate it.
Yeah,
it's one of those kind of abilities where it's like, well,
it's a love-hate kind of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty mean, I guess. Mind control is kind of a mean tactic, to be honest. But it makes sense for the Curse because they're
so much fun to do.
And then also in CG1, the map was not round Earth, so if you L moved a ship off the map, it was removed from play along with everything aboard.
Oh no!
Yeah. So if you stack up 2 L movers and maybe Davy Jones 6 roll, you could fling a ship pretty far, which is what my mind control fleet is about. So it can be.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, this is one of the 3 cursed pieces that have this ability. There's her, Mimi, and then Suro, the serpent, has this.
Yep. Nice. So
if you could combo all 3 of those and then Jones.
And then the MIs, Mysterious Islands.
Yeah, because why not?
Yeah, that's where it gets really crazy.
I'm glad that the Cursed at least have this almost sort of to themselves, but, so it's their thing. But at the same time, I sort of wish another faction had some of this at least.
Yeah, the French have one of these crew from, I think the French got one, and I think the original version of George Washington LeBeau has this.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah. Yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah, we are.
So they are a better recruit to take advantage of it, because those factions have re-rollers.
Yeah.
The Cursed don't have any that were released by WizKids, but I've got at least one custom.
Yeah.
I don't know about anyone else.
Like that. Yeah, I've got at least one now, too. the Fiddler's Green has it built in, but that's not
Oh,
a bad ship for 11 points.
The fiddly diddly.
That's what I should have said. They don't have a re-rolling crew. They've got re-rolling ships.
Yeah,
But
I think
still,
only
they've
that
got,
ship
like,
though.
one.
I think that ship is their only ship with it too. So it's very limited. So and that ship's not too bad. So I'd almost rather use her and put one of these on like a 6-point turtle ship or something similar.
Yeah.
Like you can actually use this. I think you did that in CG3, like the sarcophagus or something. Because then you can't board them to eliminate the outmovers and use.
Yeah.
So it's actually a niche use for those crappy turtle ships from DJC in big games. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to run through Soulmark real quick. It's basically the same thing as, what was it?
Letters of Mark.
Yeah, Letters of Mark above, except it applies to the cursed. Otherwise, it's no different. Do you mind if I just gloss over that and do a ship instead?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah. I mean,
All right.
it's literally just the cursed letter of mark.
Yeah, that's all it is. So I guess we'll get into the SE box ships, the first of which is HMS Resolution. This is an English one. This is 4 masts, of course, which are 3S, 3L, 3L, 3S. It's 11 points, 3 cargo, L move, plus 100 cannon rolls against French ships. That's not even vanilla. That's just like saltine crack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very dull.
Yep.
And the artwork's kind of dull.
It's basically a
she's-
not so good version of HMS Dover.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
good. Yeah. I will say Soulmark looks almost like Black Spot, like Curse of the Black Spot type idea.
I think that must have been the idea.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm still the ship is so boring. I'm still thinking about Soulmark.
Yeah, you know, I was just kind of thinking about how they would have made this, and I think all they did was take one of the letters of mark and superimpose a black mark on it. Like they went into Photoshop and just painted over it in black.
Yeah, it looks like
Because
Wait, can we scroll up and see?
it
Wait,
is.
It
looks
is
like
because
it doesn't even look like it conforms to the bend in the paper. It's just flat.
yeah, and if you notice, all the letters of mark have this like oversized crest at the top that actually kind of leaches off the paper and onto the table.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
And they've all got the same little ribbon thing on the bottom.
Yeah. Oh
All right.
well.
I'm gonna move on to the next ship with the Nox.
The Nox ship.
It's the counterspell for Lumos.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. This is a gorgeous ship. She's got the same paint job as the Fantasia from Pirates of the Caribbean. Very mystical, starry stuff. It looks nice. Very unrealistic. But she is almost a carbon copy of HMS Revolution for the French. The only difference is she costs 1 point less at 10, and instead of the 2 3Ls in the middle, she's got 2 3S. She is basically the same thing. It's another reinforcement of the English versus French war in the set.
Yeah.
All right, Xerix, go to you.
Yep.
The artwork is the best part.
Well,
reminds me
I
of a
actually
ship
want to
from,
talk about this.
like Little
okay.
Mermaid or something, which I've never seen.
Wasn't this one of the ones that was designed by somebody?
I can't
I
remember.
think it was, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't have a copy, so I can't confirm that.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it would have been, but
Yeah.
I'd say on its own, I want to call this a better ship than HMS Resolution, even if by a small amount, because she's 1 point cheaper. She's got more uniform guns, so you can apply bonuses a little bit easier. Still not an exceptional ship, and I would rather use Tepant from Rise of the Fiends, which is almost identical, except
But
you
it's
get Eternal
Eternal.
1 more point.
Yep.
Yeah. I think, is it 1 more point, or is there 3 more points for Eternal?
It's 11.
No, I thought it was about the.
Okay, so it's only 1 more point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather use Tepant. Nox is
Yeah,
a
me
very
too.
pretty ship, though, and I wish I had her.
Yeah. The next one is designed by a fan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So we've got the Lucky 7. All right, 4-masted pirate ship for 13 points. You get 4 cargo spaces, base move L, all 4 3S cannons. And if this ship can dock at an enemy home island and load 1 treasure. If able, she must leave on your next turn. It's another pirate home island raider. They've got like 20.
Well, that does sound like a good theme for the pirates. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Curse of the Black Pearl. The first time you see any actual piracy action, it's the Black Pearl taking on Port Royal.
Yeah, but pirates never really did that. They didn't sack towns.
Well, sometimes they did, but
it was a cool action scene in the movie. Regardless, that was a cool thing. So 13 points, 4 cargo spaces. This is an armed home island raider. Put on either Hammersmith or just a regular captain and helmsman and some kind of oarsman in case you get boarded. To get in, grab the treasure, and then get the heck out and fight off whatever the heck is coming to get you.
Yeah,
it's not even all that good for that, though. Honestly,
cannons aren't that great.
I would rather use Raven's Neck with Devereaux and a helmsman.
Yeah,
and maybe find some way to get. Yeah, actually, maybe Devereaux plus Hammersmith.
Yeah, that could work. This one,
on the Raven's Neck,
I'll try to confirm sometime. I think this may have been made by Zayutu4 with the design, who's a former member of Miniature Trading and one of the better members at Miniature Trading in terms of fleet activity and, just positivity. A lot of his posts on the forum were super enthusiastic, I remember. And he's come back a few times. I'm pretty sure it was him. I'll have to check my ship sometime, and then I might make a comment on the miniature. I do like the artwork of the hull, at least. The sails are kind of weirdly white for a pirate ship, which makes her stand out. And I think the hull artwork is decent. And I have read about privateers raiding coastal towns and ports and cities very often. Maybe a lot more than like genuine pirates, kind of like towing the line, I guess. But anyway, I'm trying to think. My next, actually? Looks like it.
Yeah, you are.
Cool. So the Crocodile is the next one. This is a cursed special edition 4-master, one of the box ships, the last of the 4. 11 points, 4 masts, 3 cargo, L move. Cannons are 3S, 3L, 3L, 3S, same as the Resolution. And the ship gets +1 cannon rolls against pirate ships. So another boring 4-master with a faction bonus. And this one might be the best of the 3, just because the pirate's the best faction of those 3. That the bonus is applied.
And the most numerous.
Exactly. But that being said, it's pretty boring overall.
It's still nothing exceptional. The art is great, though.
Yeah.
The cells look like they got scales on them.
Yeah. Too bad that's all we really have to say about it. All right, on to Scepter, not Spectre, which is spelled similarly. Scepter is number 200. I'm not actually sure how the ship was distributed. We'll talk about that later. This is a 3-masted French schooner. It's 9 points. It has 3 cargo, L move, all 3 S guns, and then the Explorer keyword. So it's really vanilla. It's nothing all that interesting. But I do know it's really rare, and I don't actually know how it was distributed. What do you know about the ship, Ben?
That's what I'm looking up right now. I can't remember exactly how it came. It might have been in the, I'm trying to think if it was part of the factory sets similar to Rise of the Fiends, but I'll look it up and we can talk about other ones in the meantime. And it's weird because the name is even weirder because the Scepter from Crimson Coast, that pirate cheerleader. So there's like triple name confusion with this one. If you So it's really rare.
I also kind of want to know what this ship looks like constructed, because the only picture in Miniature Trading is of the deck plate. Are the sails interesting at all, or?
I don't know.
No idea.
Nobody owns it, probably. It's like $30.
I don't think any of us have one of these.
All right, let's see if we can get in touch with Old Man then.
Yeah.
If he can get us a picture.
Yeah, although most of Old Man's pictures have disappeared. I went through like one of those historical threads recently, and all the linked pictures were gone, unfortunately. Probably photo bucket stuff. But Scepter's, I think the reason why none of us have it, even though one occasionally surfaces for sale, is because it's not an interesting ship in any way.
No, it's not.
It's super boring.
Yeah, from a playing standpoint, this is kind of blah. From a collector, this is solid gold. Yeah,
basically. But let's roll onward. Let's talk about this version of Chain Shot here. Who starts this?
That would be me, actually.
All right.
So it's a Chain Shot. The only difference between this and the other version is that it costs 1 point instead of 3.
Which,
No,
I mean...
because the previous one costs 1 point as well.
Does it? Oh, no, I'm thinking of another. I'm thinking of a different one.
Yeah, I think there's no difference between the two.
There's no difference here. It's just limited edition.
All right. Then
That's the only difference.
So why don't Vendari, why don't you tell us about the HMS Morningstar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've got the English version of the HMS Morningstar right here. So this version of the ship costs 14 points, has 4 cargo space, base move of L, and her cannons are 2S on the bow and stern, and the middle 3 are 3L. And ramming cannot eliminate this ship's masts. Kind of an okay version of the ship. I would probably use the HMS Apollo over this.
Yeah.
Actually, I guarantee you I would use HMS Apollo over this.
Yeah.
It's the same price, but it's slightly faster. Guns are okay, but it also has a link.
I would say it's still a pretty solid ship considering what you're paying for it.
Yeah.
Although the ability is almost entirely redundant based on the fact that this ability is more valuable on smaller ships because of how the ramming system works. It's next to useless on this.
Well, it's next to useless on this when the Morningstar is healthy.
Exactly.
Once you get shot at like 2 or 3 times and you're down to like, 1 mast, 2 mast, that's when this becomes handy because you can't just be eliminated that way. You'd have to like still come in and shoot it.
Yeah, it's still a nice thing to have. Yep.
Yeah. I think it's still a decent ship. I did want to mention, as sort of a segue into the whole Morningstar and Lizard part of it, there were 2 ships printed in Fire and Steel for the listeners who are not aware, the Morningstar and the Lizard, which received, is it 5 or is it 6 versions each? I think it's 6.
I want to say it's 6.
One for each of the major 6 factions. And
exactly.
Like the story is, it starts out, for the Morningstar, it starts out English. Yeah. And then as it goes on, you can tell what happens to it.
Yeah, it tells the story of the ship through the flavor text. Actually, I'd say why not read the flavor text of each of these, because it's kind of interesting. I'll start, I guess, by reading just this one. The HMS Morningstar was launched by the Queen herself the very day war was declared on the French. So, linking back into the canon war against France there. She's the newest ship of the line and expected to bring the English quick victory. Heh. Aside from that, though.
Quick victory.
Yeah.
Not really, anyways.
Aside from that.
So with this, I do actually have to get going. I've got to take a few minutes to prepare for my pirate session tonight.
All right, cool.
So thank you for having me. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we can bring you back for one of the odd-numbered episodes.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for being on. We love the input.
Alrighty.
So, see ya.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, see you around.
Good night.
Good night.
Yep.
And then next, I believe, is you, Billy, for the Morningstar Le France.
Okay. All right. Morningstar. French this time. All right. For 14 points, you get 5 masts, 4 cargo, base move L. Cannons are slightly different. You've got 3 S's at the bow and stern, but otherwise they're the same. And other ships do not block this ship's line of fire. This has showed up a couple times on French fivers, and it's reasonably boring. Flavor text. In a crushing blow to the English cause, the Morningstar was captured by French sailors in the Battle of Casablanca. The newly reflagged ship taunted shore observers along the Gibraltar coast before setting out across the Atlantic. Fateful journey.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the French have at least one other 5-master with this ability that's considerably better. I think it's Le Superbe.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Which has better gun ranks, and I think all L gun ranks as well.
Yeah, they're all L range, and there's like a couple 2s in there as well.
Yeah, and I think it has more cargo space too.
Yeah, and
I think it has about this. Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure it has 5.
Yeah, even in the same set, the Monique is probably slightly better than this Morningstar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of meh. As 5 masters go, it's not bad, but it's pretty average and lackluster.
The French have better options.
Yeah.
From a playing standpoint, the French definitely have better options, but if you're a collector, these are like things you definitely want to get.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, all of the cheap ones disappeared off of eBay a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh, darn.
meaning I lost my chance to get those.
Yeah. So I found some stuff with the search function in regards to how the FNS LEs were distributed. From the previews, it looked like tournament pack kits, that sort of thing. But miniature trading has stopped working, so I can't get to the full threads yet. So, oh well.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll start working. Don't reload.
Yeah, bring that back. Bring that back up when you get the thread open.
Yeah,
do you want to start the Pirate Morningstar?
Yeah, I was going to. This one, number 204, Pirate LE Morningstar, 12 points, 5 masts, L move. Cannons are 2S, 2S, and then 3S, 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 so they're better at the bow. And when this ship sinks another ship, you can repair one of this ship's masts. So it's an okay ability for a big gunship like this. I think the cost is the main attraction here because it's a budget option for the pirates. You get good cargo, solid cannons. I'd probably give it maybe Hammersmith and a fire pot specialist, and then I guess maybe be a hybrid a little bit, pick up a few coins possibly, or load it up with other specialists maybe. So I think for the cost, this is a pretty solid deal overall.
I agree with you. This is, considering, I mean, the ability isn't anything super amazing. It'll be useful at the right time, but the guns are pretty good. The cargo space is very good. The base move is tolerable. It has space to accept a helmsman or a hammersmith or whatever, so you can speed it up a little bit and it won't really hurt you. It's a very good, reliable, cheap ship.
The flavor text reads, though battered while crossing the ocean in the battles she found in the Caribbean, the Morningstar was always well tended until she fell into the hands of pirates. We repair her with whatever is handy and using as little effort as possible.
Thanks for remembering to read
she went from a glorious ship of the line, very pretty probably, all right, and now you're being held together with rough planks.
And scotch tape.
Yep, spit in a prayer.
Although I don't usually do those at the same time. The next Morningstar is, I would say, possibly the best one of them. This is the Spanish version. This one is 9 points. It is the cheapest 5-master in the game. It's actually down there with the cheapest of the 4-masters. Eagle, HMS, whatever that is, Caledonia, I think, from South China Seas. So funny enough, you can't get 4-masters for any cheaper than 5-masters when it comes to the cheapest stuff. Anyway, this one is actually in a really good ship. It has 6 cargo space, S+S move, 3S gun at the front, then the rest are 4S. Eliminate one of the ship's masts when she rolls a 1 on a cannon roll. It's already a bad enough gunship that you're not gonna... It has too weak of guns to even really be used as a gunship. But when you look at the positive traits, it's gigantic for its size. You cannot get a ship any bigger than this for less than 10 points. It has a decent base move, and actually a pretty good one by 5-master standards, and great cargo space. So it's a good, cheap, durable gold runner, but the Spanish have so many good gold running crew that if you just put a captain and a helmsman on this, you've got a super durable, fast gold runner. And one that's not even all that expensive. I'd say this is one of the most underrated gold runners in the game.
Maybe, maybe not.
I'd say.
Okay.
I only say no because I've had her used against me on Vassal so many times in like the past year, including by Bill. So I'm kind of sick of her, actually. I kind of find her overused, at least in Spanish fleets on Vassal. Everybody seems to use this against me for good reason.
This comboed with blood money is brutal.
Yeah, and Dominic Frida with a helmsman is probably what I would do. Maybe Explorer.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the promo version of Dominic Freda specifically, the one with +2 to gold bonuses.
Yeah.
I'd still rather put on the regular version of Freda, Explorer and +1 spaces, because now you're going around with, even if you put a helmsman on there, you're still sitting around with 6 cargo.
Yeah, either one would be great. So.
I'm weird about sending a ship out with 6 cargo. It's like either I can make it significantly faster by filling up that space a little bit and have enough space for 1 island, or I can expand it further and have 7 or 8. I don't like operating with just 6.
That's a lot.
If you have Master Bianco in play, and you use Dominic Freda and Helmsman, having 7 will allow you to hit 2 islands before running home.
Yeah, you could hit 2 with 6. I mean, you might find ones you don't really care about. So.
Yeah, you can like leave it behind the worthless stuff and go for the good stuff.
Yeah,
that's true.
Either way, 6 cargo is plenty to work with, so it's great.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. The flavor text.
Yeah, okay, you're gonna get there. All right.
Okay, I can do it. When the pirate crew of the Morning Star were captured by the Spanish fleet, they were hung from the yardarm, after which the ship was sold to a merchant who ignored the captain's cries for new guns and provided clean new sails instead.
That's why she can't shoot anything.
Criticism, I think hanged is the proper term here, not hung.
Huh.
I don't think it's hung, but...
No, I'm pretty sure it's hanged.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Hung sounds better to me, but I think God made a point.
In the case of lynching, a hanging,
okay.
I'm pretty sure it is hanged. Wait, let me, I'm going to type into the Google.
Yeah.
Hanged.
Hopefully it'll work better than miniature trading. The threads still aren't loading. But anyway.
All right, shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, sounds like it. Okay, so USS Morning Star is the American Morning Star, limited edition, of course. 5 master for 17 points, 5 cargo, SS move, 2 S cannon at the bow, the other 4 following are 3 S's, and when the ship is given an explore action, you can swap treasure on the Wild Island for a crew on any friendly ship. So we saw that earlier with the Soul, and
this is
Captain
much
Jack
better
Sparrow,
than the Soul.
It's one of the best abilities in the whole game. It's really broken, quite frankly. So this one is kind of like a really, really bizarre hybrid. I used it in a fleet challenge fleet. I haven't really used it hardly at all in general. I'd mostly use it as a general gunship in a bigger game. But I guess if you wanted to use the UPS Universal Pirate Shipping Strategy with the Americans, this is how you can do it. It's just it's really a strange ship overall, though.
You could argue that this is the second best piece with this ability, with Jack Sparrow being the first. I don't know where you'd put the Rising Sun. The Rising Sun is pirate, therefore has access to pirate crew and sack and whatnot, but is much smaller than this.
I'd probably take this.
And also, this has much more cargo than the Rising Sun.
Yeah, but you don't always need it with that strategy, so probably take the Sun for the sack option.
Yeah, the Americans in CG1 use this as a last gasp effort to try and get themselves back into things.
Yeah.
And it worked a little bit because what happened there was they would throw a treasure back to a ship at the home island. They had one of their eternal crew on it, just take up 1 point in 1 cargo space, and whoop! All right, we're good.
Not for long.
Well, yeah, you eventually got run over by the Spanish, but
yeah, I'd say
I want to find interesting things to do with this, because the Americans do have a gold bonus crew.
Yeah,
the first version of Ralph David.
Yeah, it might have been your greater than 10 challenge. I found a really weird fleet with this when I comboed it with the Frontier. And it was really, I don't even know what to say. I'd have to look at it to remember what I did, but it was really strange and kind of a weird, it wasn't like normal strategy with this ability. So, but overall, I'd say the Rising Sun is better for the gimmick, but then the USS Morning Star is better as a gunship, of course. And as a gunship,
or is a better ship overall.
Yeah,
and it's quick too for a 5er at S+S.
Yeah, that's nice. Yep.
I wish I had this just because I'm a fan of the Americans as a faction, but I'm not actually sure I'd use it because this is one of those abilities that if you're going to use it, you're going to use it to its best, and I'd probably just rather have the Enterprise.
Yep.
That's a good point.
There's nothing wrong with this ship, but it's sort of all over the place. It's not enough of being one thing for me to really want to use it. Again, though,
like I said, it's like a bizarre hybrid. It's an enigma.
Yeah. Something else I wanted to say real quick is all of these are, again, just pictures of deck plates. I've never seen any of the Morning Stars or the Lizards assembled.
Yeah,
I think I saw one, the Spanish one, Repkaza. He's got that. Yep. And he's posted pictures a couple times in the battle reports of oh, look, here's the Morning Star.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yep. Oh, and I forgot to read the flavor. I can do that. Abandoned after she was accidentally beached on the Outer Banks, the Morning Star was recovered by an ambitious young crew of American sailors who offered themselves and their new ship to the United States. So, kind of generic, but got beached by the Spanish, I guess.
It explains why it went from Spanish to American.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I guess why it got better accuracy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I think we skipped over me, so I guess I'll cover the first one.
Yeah, actually, do the cursed one.
All right, the very last Morning Star, spelled as in you are in mourning. All right, cursed for 10 points. You get 5 masts, 3 cargo spaces, base move S, all rank 3S cannons. On the turn the ship is pinned, eliminate 1 crew from the enemy ship. Aye. Yikes. I mean, it's sad that this is one of 3 5-masted ships the cursed have that are like, actually wooden sail. Because this is really bad. This is arguably the worst Morning Star out there, possibly the worst 5-master ever. I mean, not even the point cost justifies using this because the cargo space isn't very good. It's terrible. The base move is really kind of bad for a 5er. Cannons are okay, and the ability is nice. But to take advantage of those, you have to be able to catch and ram into something. Which at a max speed of S plus S, you're probably not going to do unless it's a stationary target.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to argue that a little bit.
Yeah, it's not horrible, but it's kind of weak. I think that the cost makes it viable as like a numbers gunship, just captain, helmsman, maybe oarsman, and then kind of just a suicidal attack ship type thing. So
yeah,
it's kind of weird.
There's got to be some named crew that's useful on this, like at
that's
least
cursed?
one. Yeah, among the cursed.
Okay, maybe. Actually, no, that's not even a good idea. Because you'd be wasting 2 cargo. I was thinking using either original versions of Tabitha McWarren or Cavendish to bring on Charles Richard from Savage Shores. But that's 2 cargo spaces taken up, and you've only got 3, so...
Yeah.
With Captain Helmsman, you only have 1 cargo and 5 points left, so there's not a lot you can do with it. So I'd keep it simple. Especially with the slow speed. You want to optimize the skin flare instead, for example. So.
Yeah, I'd say maybe if you can figure out a way to get something for an extra action on board here, bare bones. If I think
El Phantasma from Rise of the Fiends, 5 points for same action twice in Eternal, and then a Captain and Helmsman, and you're done.
Yeah, actually, I'd say that's a pretty decent combination overall, honestly.
Wait, which one? He's 7, I think, right?
Rise of the Fiends, Elfan, I thought he was 5, I could be wrong.
Yeah, he's 7, he's got fear as well. So.
Ah, darn.
There's got to be something out there. I can't think of what it is. I think it's not an exceptional ship, but you're still getting something that's pretty big, has an okay ability, even if it will struggle to use it at times, and has pretty reasonable armament.
Yeah. So now that we're done with those, some of the threads have loaded a bit, and Burns talked about how the Fire and Steel limited editions are extremely rare, and it says prize cards 200 to 226, very spotted / limited release. So, but they are tournament prize kits. I found that in a different thread back from 2008, a decade ago, and so there were tournament prize kits that came out in different months of 2008 with different numbers and stuff. I can try to put a link. And some of them, they had different numbers. So kind of like the Frozen North one, stuff like that. So the first one had cards numbers 202, 210, 214, 220, for example. So it's kind of just a random prize kit distribution, basically. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And to round out the mornings, Yeah,
did we read the flavor text on this?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I haven't forgotten.
Yep.
To round out the Morning Stars, I guess by now, sad story. The American crew of the Morning Star were annihilated when excavations on Oak Island released a wave of terrible creatures that consumed the sailors and took their place.
Ooh, wow. So I don't know. I guess that's based on the Oak Island legends and whatnot, but...
Is that the Oak Island money pit or something?
Yes, exactly. Oh my god. I don't know if either of you have seen that show at all, but The Curse of Oak Island is on the History Channel, usually like November through February, something like that. And it's interesting, but it's kind of one of those shows where, they seem to not find enough to keep the show going, so they have to like support it with like these like,
fake drama.
like oddball theories and like crazy crackpot.
Oh, stop it with that History Channel. That's why I don't watch that anymore.
Yeah. It's kind of funny sometimes, but you have to kind of like not take it seriously. So it's an okay TV show for like, I like that topic, but I don't know, the seasons get worse and worse. So it's pretty funny, kind of as a train wreck, I guess, at this point. So they do it in the summer in Nova Scotia. So maybe they were digging for gold on Oak Island today, maybe. But
all right. Let's see. Whose was up next?
I'd be next if we skip Bill. I don't know I could do it if you want. Get back on track.
Yeah, why don't we just get back on track and have you start this one?
Yeah, so the Lizard doesn't have a picture in the database, and I uploaded pictures from the set for the Royal Decrees, but I don't have the Lizard, so this is one of the few. I'm trying to think. I don't see any more from this set. So this might be... There's probably others, but this might be the only ship left that doesn't have a picture. But the Lizard is a French one-master, limited edition as well, 4 points, 3 cargo, SS move, 3S cannon, and this ship can't shoot when she carries treasure, kind of infamous from the Banshee's Cry, same ability. This is a very good one-masted sloop, either as an empty gold runner, maybe a helmsman. I've seen her used with Maurice Aristide as part of the UPS fleets with Captain Jack Sparrow, those really great competitive tournament fleets.
Yeah.
So the Lizard overall is really great and flexible, mostly because of the cheap cost, solid speed, and good cargo.
I mean, I don't think it's like an exceptional gold runner, but given what you're paying, it's a pretty good deal overall. All right. I think I'll read the flavor text on this one. Fast and agile, the Lizard gained respect by ensuring the safety of French ships sailing through the Channel, but she gained infamy for the numerous times she sailed close enough to English ships for her crew to drop their pantaloons and salute. That sounds like a very French thing to do.
Yep.
Any more things to say about the French Lizard?
Nope.
All right. Then I'll move on to the English, who get their revenge by renaming it the HMS Lizard. And I'm going to start with the flavor text this time. After being captured by an English ship posing as a French ship in distress, this ship would have been put to torch if England hadn't desperately needed more ships to patrol the Queen's coastline. Now this one is 5 points, has 2 cargo, L move, 3 L gun. When the ship hits another ship, you choose which mast is eliminated. Not nearly as good.
Nope.
Yeah,
not at all.
Boring. Yeah.
I'd say if it were 4 points, maybe.
Yeah, it reminds me of the crappy ones that we talked about last time with the Newport and the it's kind of like those, but slightly cheaper.
Okay, if it were 3 points.
Yeah, then it's still slow.
Yeah, then it might be too cheap.
No, I don't think it'd be too cheap. I think
really?
Speed holds it back. I think S plus S speed at 1 cargo and 3 points would make it kind of a fun little option, like the Algeciras, but not as good.
Yeah, agreed.
All right.
Ooh, the next one.
Moving on.
Yeah.
All right, Lizard. And I'll start with the flavor text here as well. Given to the Americans by the English in return for vital information on the Cursed, the Lizard remained in European waters to carry American agents and diplomats wherever they were needed. So for 9 points, you get 2 cargo spaces, S plus S base move, a 3L cannon, holdover from the English. However, you get a significantly better ability. Once per turn, 1 cruise ship with an S of this ship can't use its ability that turn. Ooh, boy. Canceling.
Yeah,
I'm going to say, if you have a cargo master in play, this thing will have 3 cargo, and you can use it as a gold runner if you want. Maybe put an oarsman aboard, or, of course, use her ability instead.
Yeah.
I'd just use her ability instead, and then group this up with, a group of cancelers.
Yeah, I'd rather use the Hessian with a helmsman for gold running. It's almost the same thing, but with double the cargo, so... But yeah, the Americans got a lot of cancelers between these, and then the Ghostwalker, and obviously TNT. We talked about him briefly earlier. So I think they got the most overall cancelers. I think they have 5, I want to say. And I partly know that because I tried to optimize their fleet in Vassal Campaign Game 3, where the Lizard was part of a canceling squadron. that was pretty devastating, especially late in the game. So the Lizard gives them a nice, canceling numbers ship. So not durable, but canceling is fantastic, especially in those big games. So this one I like a lot.
I did just come up with another idea for how to possibly use this. Captain Shipwright Oarsman and then tow Minuteman and use a Cargo Master to get the Barbary Coast version of Diamond Nelson Turner onto the Minuteman.
Ooh, that's cool.
So double canceling, pretty good firepower, and in theory, some survivability. Not a lot, but
Nice. That's pretty cool, actually.
Indeed.
And then if they shot at you with L range cannons to get around the canceling, the Minuteman has LL range with some of the cannons. So you'd still be able to hit them either way with the Minuteman. That's cool. All right. Oh,
who's was next?
Yeah, that's me. Sorry, I messed up.
Okay.
This will be fun. Flavor text is incomplete. This is the Lagarto, Spanish one master, with warrants from both the Spanish, the English, and the French, accusing the ship's American officers of espionage. They had little choice but to sell the Lagarto to Spain at an extreme loss, after which the Spanish enjoyed smuggling the Americans to safety in their ow. Ow!
Presumably it said own ship.
Yeah.
But in their ow.
In there, ow! I'm gonna stop typing this. I just hurt my finger.
I know. Well, I guess that's appropriate. I think ow would be a good description for this ship. So it's a one master, 7 points, 3 cargo, L move, 3S cannon, and once per turn, she can randomly take 1 treasure from any ship she touches. So the filching gold keyword. And yeah, ow is somewhat appropriate because it's pretty much another lackluster, lame, slow, very slow sloop. So
it's terrible.
Yeah, I think
it is.
I think double the speed, and you got an interesting ship. But
yeah,
that'd be interesting.
If it were L plus L, that would be interesting. But as is, it's bad.
Yep. Ow. No kidding.
All right, the next one up, Sea Lizard, the pirate ship. Stolen while she was docked at the Canary Islands, the Sea Lizard was rechristened by her new pirate crew on the African coast while they equipped her with a new, massive cannon. Speaking of which, this is a 6-pointer, 3 cargo, L move, 3 L gun. This ship eliminates 2 masts with 1 hit. What I want to do with this is Captain Helmsman double shot.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Or wait, is it possible to? How does this ability interact with some other equipment?
It doesn't, for the most part.
Doesn't?
Because it's masked.
No, outside of double shot, not really.
Yeah. You can't double up on fire. So.
No.
And it wouldn't.
So using this with double shot would be a handy way to get more bang for your buck, kind of literally.
Yeah.
But I'd go with something that has this ability on a much bigger ship.
I would too. I just like the idea of showing up with the one master that mows down 4 masts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Massive cannon.
Yeah. Is it on the deck? I can't zoom in on the picture. I don't know if that's the cannon where the mast would be. I don't know. I can't really. It looks kind of weird, the artwork on the
Yeah.
But I can't tell if it's supposed to be that cannon or not.
I don't think so. Maybe, but honestly, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it looks like a concrete slab where the mast is supposed to be. But
yeah, anyway. Maybe it really is concrete.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I might actually.
Well, I think they have that on all of them.
Oh, I see now. Yeah, good point.
Oh yeah, it does. You're right.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, speaking of which, I'm trying to make a few customs based on historical giant cannons. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Mons Meg or the Tsar cannon, but it's pretty wacky.
I've heard of the Tsar cannon, but
yeah,
I don't know. Is that going to destroy 5 masts with 1 hit?
No, I think I did 3, and it can only be used on land. Something similar to that. So
I was like, if this ship hits another ship, sink that ship.
Yeah.
Then remove this cannon.
Yeah, it'd be too
you must roll a 7 to hit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I did have some weird thing like 5LL or something like that. I'll try to look it up right now, I guess. See if I can load it. Anyway.
Alright.
In the meantime,
the last one.
We shall move on to the Lizard Sting. Or is that you, God Mace? Is that me?
No, I did the Sea Lizard. You're up.
Oh, okay, so me. Alright, we'll go with the flavor text first. As he was thrown overboard to the deep, a gypsy merchant laid a curse upon the lizard's sting that quickly led her and her crew to their doom, then brought them back, denied death until they find the gypsy's corpse and return it to his family. Well, that's rather vengeful. Appropriate, though. Alright, so for 6 points, you are cursed, you've got 1 mast, base move S+S, 3 cargo, and you've got a nice 2S cannon. I think this is the most accurate lizard ship there is. And 2 hits from the same shoot action are required to eliminate one of this ship's masts. Handy on anything but a 1-master.
Exactly.
It's got a nice cannon, so you could, captain, helmsman, and then, one of the other equipments. Like, the exploding shot, fire shot, anything like that. Nice little support, backline, gunship kind of thing. Yeah. Or just, keep it in the card and say, ooh, look what I have.
Or do an empty gold runner with a tiny bit of
that's another option, too.
Yeah, I think this is actually one of the better cursed ships, just because of the overall. I mean, the cargo, speed, cannon are all solid, good ability. So, not great, but I don't know. I think for the curse, this is pretty solid, and ship with different options. Maybe even captain and keep 2 cargo spaces open. So, I like it a lot.
Okay. Indeed.
Yeah.
So, it looks like we've got a bunch of clones of the equipment from earlier. Yeah. Are there any of these that have any differences?
Yeah, they
yes, actually.
They kill themselves, basically. So, for example...
Now, all equipments, roll the 1, you lose the equipment, but the point costs are the big differences. And the ones where that's a thing are exploding shot. This version of exploding shot is 1 point, not 3.
I'm pretty sure that if the previous version had a retconned price, this one should too.
No, it's different. After using exploding shot, remove it from the game. That's what I was saying earlier.
Oh, okay.
To interrupt. They're all like that. That's what I was saying. So they all say after using blah 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 shot, remove it from the game. So these are all just 1-shots, and as a result, I would say the exploding shot is the only one worth using. Because the other ones, might as well just use the one that stays on the ship. So.
Okay, I see. So these are just one-offs instead.
Yeah. So the exploding shot here, the discount matters because you can get the benefit, but only once. So if you only had 1 point left to spend, you could try it, but all the other ones
the rest are pointless.
Yeah, exactly. Even smoke pot shot takes itself out. So
yeah, that's pointless.
Yeah.
And stink pot shot takes itself out, but cancels out target crew abilities on this turn, which is different from the regular one.
I remember that from the rules thread. That led to some complicated
major confusion.
Yeah. Next up are the 0-point treasure coins. Now, I want to say this is one of those things that we can bring up again later in the in-depth episode where we talk about some of the more interesting things that haven't received enough attention.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's 0-point coin cards are really strange because they come with 2 coins that have a 0 printed on them. So in theory, if you had enough, if you're playing a 40-point game, you could put an 8-point coin in play, a 7-point coin, and then 6 0-point coins. There are some weird things you can do where I think value boosters still work on these, so I'm sure there's a way you can more or less play around with them so they're actually worth something, but...
Feed them to Carbon Charlie. They count as a treasure.
Yeah.
But they just don't have a value.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true, but at the same time, you're leaving all the value out there elsewhere, possibly for your opponent to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a really weird situation where Xerix and I played a game on Vassal.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I forgot the setup rules, but basically...
It was the Fire and Steel anniversary game.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that makes sense, yeah. So basically, we only put 0s into the distribution, both of us. So there was no gold, except for like 7. So he won.
Yeah, I put in like 5 0s and 1 7 or something like that. And then I found the 7.
Yeah. I was annoyed because I thought they would all be 0s, and I was like, oh boy. Lost on that. But yeah, that's an idea I had been wanting to try for a while. I want to do it in a physical game against like new players because they might trust me with like the treasure distribution, and then I could totally turn it around and have all zeros, and then they're just like super confused, and then I'd sit there with like a +2 gold ability and just like farm it. But,
oh man!
And then have people that don't want to play again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
yeah,
now I think I only have 3 zeros. I think maybe 4. I did actually get a treasure card for a decent price from the UK a few years ago. I think it's the 220, I believe. But other than that, you have to get the American Cargo Master from Savage Shores, which only has 1 zero per card, I believe. But it's a slightly cheaper way of getting them, but you have to board Cargo Masters to get a bunch of zeros. So.
Yeah, which is really annoying because those are already rare enough.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Let's see. Should I start Raptor Maw or do you want to?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Go ahead with Raptor Maw.
All right, Raptor Maw is, if some people remember from the Rise of the Fiends review, a limited edition piece that was delayed. It was taken out of Rise of the Fiends. We're not really sure why. And then delayed until Fire and Steel. Now, if you know something about this piece's distribution, tell me in a sec after we talk stats. This version of Raptor Maw is, I think, the best Sea Dragon in the game. It comes in at 16 points. Its guns, if you will, are 2S and then the rest are 3S. And then once per turn, when the sea monster hits an enemy ship, also eliminate 1 crew from that ship. So good ability, lowest cost, and reasonable armament. I think it's the best of all the Sea Dragons. The Sea Dragons are flawed, but you can see how to make them effective by checking out some of my pesky flappy thing fleet. Anyway, Ben, what do you know about Raptor Maw's distribution?
Not enough. I usually have to look it up to remember. It's funny because I'm actually looking at some threads right now. Actually, I got them to load. I had to change the URL, or at least part of the URL. So, so Old Man actually posted March 31st, 2008, before Fire and Steel was even released, and he said he got a Raptor Maw. Last weekend was a tournament in Germany, and each player got the card. So, anyway.
Oh, those lucky people.
I know, super lucky before the set even came out. So that's pretty cool. I'm seeing some other threads about the various LEs, and Old Man also said in March before April 2008 there is an LE set for Fire and Steel as a prize support pack. So yeah, and then they're sending to them to the stores for prizes, not in the whole cases as they did in the past. So anyway, and I'll bring up the Wikipedia soon too to see if I can get any more info. But Raptor Maw, I guess I agree. I do like Angelica cargo wrecking, but Raptor Maw's cost does make it pretty attractive, I suppose. I kind of wish some of the 3S's were 3Ls, though. A little bit limited as a dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the range doesn't matter because since it's a Sea Dragon, you can put it down exactly where it needs to be.
That's a good point.
Then ships are going to move away from it once you do, so I still like that range.
Yeah, but honestly, you shouldn't be using this without the ability to give it the extra actions it needs to attack on the turn it arrives, because otherwise you're putting down a very expensive, very vulnerable unit in close proximity to an enemy. It doesn't matter if they're not the type to fight. You're still kind of putting one of your most expensive pieces at risk if you don't, gimp them immediately by using an extra action to move and attack in the same turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is really the crux of the problem with Sea Dragons.
Yep.
Anyway.
I wish this thing wasn't so darn rare so I could get one.
I somehow really, really got lucky and got one for like $30 off of eBay. I've seen these go for like 75 or $80. I just put in a bid for like $30 on an auction I saw, and I'm like, I'm not going to win it. And then I came back to eBay and it said, you won. And I'm like, no way. But it was way, and it showed up in my mailbox not long after.
Nice.
So that was neat.
There was a dude on eBay who was like selling like knockoffs of these things. Like, he'd like gotten like some cardboard and like printed printed or used stickers to put them on them. He was like selling them for like $10 or something.
Yeah, he was selling like replicas of them that he was specifically saying were not real. He said they're just replicas. And honestly, to be honest, I think people should do that. If you want a cheap raptor mount, find the guy selling replicas on eBay.
I think it's a wasted money for a fake, to be honest. I'd rather just use a proxy or make my own.
Yeah, make my own.
Yeah, exactly.
Angelica and Shawbala are common enough since they're from Ocean's Edge. You could make your own.
Yeah, exactly.
People on eBay think those two are worth a lot more than they actually are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Shall we?
We shall.
All right. The Chum Maker. The mail-away ship from Fire and Steel. If you found one of the Chum Maker story inserts in your pack and you sent the pack and the wrapper and the receipt and, everything else about you to WizKids, they would send you a Chum Maker.
Social security number.
Yeah. Not really, but, yeah. All right. So the gallery picture doesn't really show it, but she's shiny in places, along her mask, the spars. The Scorpion blade is nice and shiny silver, kind of like the Skin Flayer back up there, the super rare. So, for 17 points, you get 3 cargo spaces, S plus S base move, 3S, 3L, 3S. She's a Scorpion. And if this ship succeeds at a boarding party, choose 2 of the following. Eliminate a crew, take a treasure, or eliminate a mast. So this has some potential to be a very effective Scorpion ship.
Mm-hmm. I've actually used this ship in a small game. I like the ship, but when you use it, you realize just how flawed the Scorpions really are, because their guns are nowhere near the front. They have weird firing arcs. So you have to sort of come in almost at sort of a broadsides-like angle to use the blade and the guns in the same turn, which is pretty irritating, to be honest.
Yeah.
It only has one L range gun, and they're all rank 3. Yeah, and they're all rank 3. So it's nearly impossible to use both the blade and all the guns in one turn. It's not exceptionally fast. It doesn't have a lot of cargo. It's really very expensive for a 3-master. I do like the ability. Ben, as far as I know, believes that it's somewhat overpriced as an ability. I think this ship is cool in concept, but should be cheaper.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think about 14 points?
It's all right.
You
I don't like
just
it either
don't care
way.
at all.
I don't know. I think 12 or 13 would be okay.
Yeah. I'd take a 12. I used it with the... I used this in a game with, I think it's Sammy the Skull from Davy Jones' Curse, a helmsman, and maybe a cannoneer or something. Unfortunately, because it's a small ship, I ended up losing it, which meant that since I play 40-point games, that was basically half my fleet gone. So it's just too expensive. It's not quite effective enough. It's a really cool ship, but it's more of a novelty than anything else.
Yeah, I think it looks cool, but it's not very good at all. I don't like the
ability.
ability.
It looks cool.
You can't bore with the blade, right? So you have to ram too.
I think you can.
Okay, sorry, that's my bad then. Let me peek through.
I'm not sure.
I think you can. I'm not saying you can.
Okay, I'll look it up then. Yep, target is now pinned and can be boarded, so you're right. I'm wrong. So that makes the ability slightly better, I guess, for this ship type, but still overcosted by a handful of points. So
yeah,
I really like it. I still rather use the Bloody Blade. I think that one's the best Scorpion. So yeah, I'm not a fan really. But of course, Scorpions are ships I like anyway. So oh, this is fun. Getting into the historical stuff. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One last point about the Chum Maker. I think the Scorpion keyword has it somewhere that you can't ram a ship and then Scorpion them in the same turn.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah.
I really don't like that.
I wish that you could combine, I think it's Crusher is the Pirate Scorpion. I really wish you could combine Captain Jack Hawkins from Spanish Main, his ability, and immediately eliminate a crew, but unfortunately that's not how that works.
I just kind of house rule it whenever I do Scorpions. Like, yeah, you can ram and Scorpion in the same turn. I don't care. It's more fun.
And it makes them worth using.
Yeah. Heck yeah. But the Charmander, yeah, looks cool, feels cool because it's printed slightly differently, but does not exactly perform up to the hype around it.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. So the next bunch is numbered in the 400. So these are
the historical pirate pack.
Yeah, OBS Studio might be weird right now. Hopefully it says it's still recording. Weird.
Uh-oh.
Hang on. Okay, it says reconnection successful, so I'm gonna keep going for now at least. So anyway.
I think the Facebook stream is stopped though.
Yeah. Maybe I'll restart. Hang on.
All right.
Yeah, it seems okay to me.
Do you mind if I talk context while you troubleshoot?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Okay. So as far as I know, this historical pack, which had, let's see, 2, 3, 4, it had 4 ships in it and 4 crew, all of them 3-masted jibs and all of them historical crew and their associated ships. As far as I know, these were distributed at conventions for a short period of time. All 4 ships and all 4 crew are in the same pack. I can confirm that because I managed to get one off of eBay for a pretty decent price earlier this year. However, they've gotten very rare in recent years, and I think I've seen them sell altogether for upwards of $100. They're not necessarily exceptional pieces, but they are pretty interesting.
Hello.
And we'll start off, I think, Ben, are you available?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can't
All right.
remember what's going on. But
all right.
We're almost done anyway, so.
Yep.
Yeah, we're almost done anyways.
Yeah, this one I liked a lot. We talked about it briefly on an episode. Somebody asked about historical stuff, and this is one of the rare cases where it's actually did that, which is nice. But the first combo is the Royal Rover with Bartholomew Roberts. So Royal Rover is a 3-masted pirate ship with the jib, LE number 400, 12 points, sport cargo, L move, cannons are 3S, 2S, 3S, and if the ship wins a boarding party, she can take as much treasure from that ship as she can carry. So I got the hoarding ability, which is nice. And I'll just do Bartholomew Roberts too. He's a 6-point pirate named crew, captain, loyal pirate, and after looking at treasure on a wild island, you can trade any one treasure from that island for a random treasure on any other wild island. The ship must load the traded treasure. Link for the Royal Rover. So it's a decent combo to make the ship a hybrid, I suppose, with a Helmsman and Bartholomew Roberts, Black Bart, and I like my
Somebody's making a lot of noise.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm typing.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like
it's actually pretty loud on this end from what I can hear.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to move the mic.
Yeah.
I like my custom version of Black Bart Roberts better because he's more accurate and he's extremely successful as a pirate. Ridiculous, really, to read about. But as a combo, this works decently. I guess the Royal Rover could have S+S speed and it would be a bit better of a combo. The link works. The island treasure trading isn't worth 3 points. Maybe 2 would be better, but it's still a decent combo. For me, I'm more happy to see historical stuff in the game than I care about the stats. So it's a little bit underpowered for how good they were historically, but it's still nice to see them in the game overall.
Yeah, with Royal Rover, I think it's, if you will, sort of a le décharge problem in that she doesn't really have what she needs to use her ability. Bartholomew Roberts is a little bit overpriced. I like them both, but I don't see myself using either of them.
Yeah.
Anything from you?
Nope, not really.
No. All right. I'll do the fun one then. These are not themed after the 4th Pirates film. This is Queen Anne's Revenge and Blackbeard. Queen Anne's Revenge is 12 points as well. 4 cargo, SS move, 3S, 3L, 3S guns. This ship can dock at an enemy home island, load 1 treasure if able. She must leave on your next turn. Her link is to Blackbeard, who is a captain with the loyal pirate keyword and the crew ransom, meaning when she wins a boarding party, you can capture a crew and turn it in for gold value at your home island. I believe the Pirates got a better version of this crew in the form of Bonnie Peel in Davy Jones' Curse.
Yeah.
Who's 8 points instead of 10. This is in line with what WizKids originally costed the ability for Aruj Barbarossa and Dragon Eyes in Barbary Coast and South China Seas. I don't think the link is worth the extra 2 points, to be honest. I'm going to say if you really want to use this crew, you're going to use Bonnie Peel instead, and Queen Anne's Revenge is a decent ship for 12 points, but I'm pretty sure the Pirates have significantly home island raiders both in this point cost and around this size.
Yeah.
Yep.
And their combination is neat, but nothing especially good. Anyone else have something to say?
Yeah, I think it's okay. I like the ship better than the crew for the most part in terms of playability, but
yeah,
if you use them together, you're running a high risk of Blackbeard being killed. So
yeah,
definitely. All right, Xerix,
so
do you want to start Amity?
Yeah, Amity and Thomas Tew. All right, the Amity. For 10 points, you get a 3-masted ship with 5 cargo, base move L, 3S, 3S, 3S. When this ship carries no cargo, she gets +S to her base move. Not bad. Thomas Tew, loyal captain, loyal pirate. Once per turn, if this ship is touching another ship, reveal all treasure aboard the other ship. This ship can take as much unique treasure from another ship as she can carry, even those that otherwise can't be removed. And he is 7 points. Okay, so he's 7 because of captain. Okay, that's why. Not bad, I guess. I like the Amity more a little bit. I'd probably just run her empty as like a reasonably expensive pirate runner. S plus L is quick enough to get to islands. Although I wish she was like, like S plus S base move to begin with, and then I could still put a helmsman on her to get her to go triple S. My thoughts.
Yeah.
Amity is, that's the name of another ship, isn't it?
Yeah. A 3-master from Crimson Coast. It has Ghost Ship and 3S base move, but only 4 cargo.
Yeah, which is, I think, actually a very good ship. Expensive, but pretty good gold runner. Honestly, I don't like this version. I don't like Amity, this version, all that much, because I look at her and I think Adventure from Crimson Coast or Revolution, one of the two. Which is pretty close to identical, but I think is 1 point cheaper, same base move, same if not slightly better guns, and I think a better ability, or maybe not.
Are you thinking about the Hades Flame?
No, I'm thinking of this version of Amity compared to Adventure from Crimson Coast.
Ah, okay.
They're very similar, but I'm pretty sure Adventure is overall the better ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so given the choice between the two, I'd take Adventure. To me, Thomas Tew is the more interesting crew because he combines captain and the unique treasure stealing ability. I think that would be interesting if you want to use that ability, why not combine it with a captain, Yeah,
that's a fair point. Yep. And then you save a cargo space in case you're taking any UTs that take up space.
Exactly. And because he's pirate, you can put him on basically every one of the game's best ships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so I'll finish up here. Hopefully the stream is coming back eventually. So Minerva is number 406, Pirate LE, 3-master, 9 points, 3 cargo, SS speed. Cannons are 3S, 2S, 3S, and once per turn when the ship hits an enemy ship, also eliminate 1 crew from that ship. And then linked to Christopher Moody, who is an 8-point pirate named Captain. So Captain keyword loyal pirate, and the massacre ability, if the ship succeeds the boarding party, she can eliminate all the other ship's crew. So I think that could be, 5 points okay for that, I guess, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense on the Minerva because you'll probably want a helmsman as well, so 8 and 9 points doesn't really work very well on the ship. The Minerva is a decent pirate mid-size option for a gunship. I'd probably do Captain Helmsman, maybe a firepot specialist or something extra. But Moody I would probably use on a 5-master or even a 10-master. So they don't work well together, but both pieces are playable, so the Minerva is better.
Yeah. I agree. They're both good, but they're not good together. sort of like the Disney Pirates universe and this Pirates universe. I kind of wonder actually how much better the game would be balanced if Disney Pirates was never released.
Well, you'd have no Endeavor and Black Pearl, but I still have overpowered Spanish stuff. And
you'd still have Micron. And Banshee's Cry. Yeah, not all that much better. Well, I mean, there'd be no Chris Captain Jack or High Pang.
Yeah, there'd be no regular Captain Jack Sparrow, and therefore no UPS.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. At least not UPS as we know it.
Yeah.
Darren might still have figured out the combo, but he might have used like the Rising Sun.
Yeah, it might have been less effective, but it would still have existed.
Yeah.
Then again, the parley keyword might not have been introduced. Either way, we're not talking about Disney because this is the Fire and Steel set review, and it is basically done. Does anybody else have stuff to add?
Yeah, real quick, the Mons Meg, my custom equipment right now is a 5-point cannon. It's kind of similar to a Marine. It has LL range, rank 5, and eliminates 3 mass with 1 hit and can sink ships with the mass elimination. So that's my weird custom based on Mons Meg. And I might have to make one for Tsar Cannon as well. We'll see. I should probably give it Loyal England or something too. But what's even more exciting than that is the Obago Deuce, which is collector's number P08.
Oh yeah, way back at the beginning.
Deuce.
Yeah. So this one is a really bizarre ship. There's supposedly only around 30 known copies that exist.
29.
Yeah, something like that. And because one may have been burned in a house fire potentially.
More than one. Didn't the guy who had that say he had 4 of these things that were in there?
Yeah, at least 2, but I don't know. It's pretty dubious. It's kind of funny to read the thread, to say the least. But anyway, and the PDX Yard group, the Portland group, has, assuming they still have them, they have either 13 or 17 of them, or somewhere around there, around half of the ones that were, circulated, so to speak. So this one, the picture is from Lord Stew, a former member at Miniature Trading and Board Game Geek, and he took a picture once he constructed his own copy. It's actually a really pretty ship. Kind of an alternate version of the Obago, but the hull is really unique and pretty cool, to be honest. But the ship itself,
the sails are less busy than the Obago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, less crazy, but the hull I like a lot. The ship itself is pretty extremely boring, actually. It's labeled as an SE Special Edition, but it's really a lot more rare than that. 13 points for a 4-master, gets you 4 cargo, L move, all 4 cannons are 3S, and the ship gets +1 to reporting rolls. So, as boring as it gets, it's really just a collector's novelty.
Yeah.
It looks a lot to me based on the, it's not flavor text. It was, the promotional text on the back, really.
Mm-hmm.
It looks to me like they intended to give it out at either conventions or at game stores for free, or, giveaway of purchase. Sort of like how the Flying Dutchman was circulated in the Disney set.
Yeah, the Wikipedia page entry for it says, this extremely rare ship was scheduled to be a late-year promo for in-store handout, but was only distributed in very limited quantities to employees and convention helper privateers. Some have made their way out in the resellers market. About 30 are known to exist. Moreover, are assumed to have been printed. It was the rarest produced ship in the series. So
I'm guessing that they printed boxes upon boxes of them, and then they gave them out a few, and then when WizKids went under, they just got thrown out. Yeah, that's my guess. Which is a shame.
Yeah, what would be even crazier is if somebody discovered a horde and then posted them one by one on eBay. They went for
you could make
one by
so
one
much
would be
money.
Cool. Honestly, that'd be horrible. If somebody did find a horde of these, found 500 and just put them up, one at a time, or no, not one at a time, just put them all up at once, then how fast do you think they'd sell?
That'd be quick.
I mean, they're not very good shits.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, outside of collectors, who'd want to buy them?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, I would. The original Obago is better, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Motion's Edge.
It's no arguing that. At some point, I might work on a sort of known locations thread. I know that a few miniature trading members own them. basically, I want to figure out just how many copies still exist, who has them, and whether or not they're punched.
Old man probably has 2.